Call this public meeting of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District to order. Let the record show a quorum of board members are present and that this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. We want to welcome everyone. I'm glad you're all here. And we do have some people that would like to make a comment or a proposal. So they want to address the board. So before we begin that, we have 3 speakers this afternoon. And I want to just give you some basic rules that we follow for everyone. So first of all, thank you for sharing your opinion. Coming to share your opinion. A few rules of order regarding the public comment portion of this meeting. According to board policy, each speaker has up to 5 minutes to speak. When necessary for effective meeting management or to accommodate large numbers of individuals wishing to address the board, the presiding officer may make adjustments to public comment procedures. Under these adjustments, every individual wishing to speak would be given no less than 1 minute, but we're going to have the 5 minutes, so you'll each have 5 minutes. You may also provide a written statement to the board to supplement your comments if desired. And we do have some from one person for sure. We will have our board secretary, Ms. Ring, keeping time tonight, and she will hold up time cards showing the time you have remaining, and it will also be on the screens out there. The board may not ask or answer questions or make any comment regarding public comments not associated with posted agenda items. The board may respond with specific factual information or existing policy may be furnished in response to inquiries on a posted agenda item. Please note that to comply with FERPA laws on student privacy, you may not mention a student by name. And additionally, according to board policy, you may not make derogatory comments about any individual staff member, either by name or title. So should you need to file a complaint, you may do this through our formal grievance process outlined in the board policy. So our very first speaker is Keila, I hope I'm saying that right, Keila Bynum. Okay, well, I guess she didn't make it back. Okay, thank you. We told her 5 o'clock, right? Okay. All right, so we will move on to the second speaker, Eric Kreil, and he is here to talk about TAD, Tarrant Appraisal District. Good afternoon.
First, I want to say thank you. I appreciate you guys allowing 5 minutes for public comment. It's nice to be able to slow down and get everything out that I need to get out. So why am I here? Well, I once heard a saying that if first you don't succeed, try again. So I'm here trying again. I'm here tonight for the same reason as when I first showed up last September, TAD. This year I started the process a little earlier when the newly engaged conservation districts nominated me in August. So tonight I want to reaffirm my position on a few topics with you. First, about the positions. This year there are 2 openings. Eagle Mountain Saginaw will have 74 votes to assign. As I know you are all aware, TAD instituted a market value freeze on all existing residential properties and will not reappraise until 2027. They continue to appraise yearly for commercial and new residential construction. And now that we have some data from the reappraisal plan, I'd like to speak about its effects. Overall, school districts saw taxable value decrease by 2% and cities saw it rise by 5%. Most of the increase was driven by a rise in the value of commercial property. Commercial property's taxable value in Eagle Mountain Saginaw rose approximately $500 million. In front of you is a packet I prepared. The packet only touches on residential values. One of the biggest takeaways from the data shows the market value of your average home here declined approximately $26,000, and overall market value is down roughly $30 million. Now, with a freeze in place, you would expect to see the numbers remain the same, but across the county, values are declining. So why are they going down? The answer is protests. Protests were up 8% from 208 to 228,000. Homeowners who protested saw substantial reductions. This tells us property values are going down, and those who did not protest are going to end up paying taxes on overvalued property. Now, why am I pointing this all out? Remember, the reappraisal plan was instituted to provide tax relief by appraising property every other year. However, in the current real estate market, the freeze is going to cost taxpayers more than if TAD had stayed on yearly appraisals. When this was debated last year, signs were already showing, sales were beginning to indicate reduced values, and high interest rates had yet to really take hold. All of this should have served as an indicator to slow down, but the board didn't. Instead, they basically locked home values at the top of the market for 3 years. When it was discussed again this year, it was voted down. I understand TAD's desire to provide tax relief to citizens. It's something all cities and schools should strive to achieve through efficiency and sound planning. However, tax relief is not TAD's responsibility. That's done through the tax rate. What TAD did with the freeze was to insert itself into this district's budget. But your budget is between you and your taxpayers, not you and TAD. TAD does not set a rate. They're here to value property fairly and equitably. One property, one value. TAD should not attempt to dictate tax policy. To carry this one step further, I value local control. Where we can, we should aim to solve problems on the local level. And if you value local control, then it should concern you that Austin now has its eyes on the Tarrant Appraisal District, because when Austin solves problems, they're more likely to take a one-size-fits-all approach. What should have occurred last year between TAD and the entities is a dialogue, an opportunity for the tax entities to express their concerns and for the parties to work through them. Perhaps an understanding of where the real estate market was headed and time to gather data and analyze it before making such a hasty decision. The truth is, much of Tarrant County has declined in value, and many homeowners have not seen a corresponding reduction in home value due to the freeze. I understand when values go down, hard decisions must be made by the entities when it comes to the tax rate, but that's what you signed up to do. Budgeting for Eagle Mountain Saginaw is your job. It's not TAD's job. TAD's role is to make it easier for you during your budget process, and yearly appraisals would ensure the most accurate data to achieve that outcome. Included with the packet is a copy of my resume, and when the time comes to vote, I would appreciate your consideration. And on a personal note, I just want to say thank you. Last year, you guys were the first to nominate me and get me in this process, and it means a lot that you were willing to take a chance and stand behind me, especially when I was so new to everything. So I just want to say thank you all.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, our third speaker actually is Daniel Bennett. He's also here to talk about TAD.
Well, good evening, Daniel Bennett, White Settlement. How are all of you? Some of you I've known since 2017. TAD's come a long ways, don't you think? Really has. Every year it's been a struggle. We have new software coming on. The reason we don't have uniform and equal appraisals or uniform and equal treatment of the taxpayer is because of Augmentum. And I stood up here in 2017 delineating all the failures and things that TAD needed to work on. What's nice, I don't have to stand up here and do that anymore. We're talking about successes now, and we want to keep moving along with those successes. So your board appointment is very important. One of the areas that the law changed is that the board currently chooses the ARB members, Appraisal Review Board. If you do not agree with your market value or for some other reason, exemption, you file a protest. As Mr. Cryle mentioned, protests were up. Well, I'm hoping the protests going forward after True Prodigy comes on will be 18,000, like Austin, instead of 218,000. That's my prayer. So the ARB process is very important because that's the communicative person between the appraisal district and those that will hear your protest outside of what's called an informal protest. So if you don't agree with the district, you fill out the form, you go over to the other side of the building, and you argue your case. Those people are now being chosen by the TAD board. And do you know, we have 9 board members and not one person with any ARB experience, 0. Of all the candidates I saw last year for the TAD positions, the only person who had any ARB experience was Saida Syed. She's an engineer, mechanical. She has the type of experience that they can make that interconnective tissue between the people that you represent in a fair and balanced hearing. Because she knows what it takes to be an ARB member. She was one. So she's asking you for your nomination and your consideration tonight. I'm going to read this real briefly. I normally don't read. I'm typically extemporaneous, but I'm gonna bow my head and read. If I'm making errors, because my English teacher, I'll blame my English teacher. Currently, as July 24th, the TAD Board of Directors choose the members of the ARB. I will bring clarity, understanding to the ARB process, to the TAD Board, helping to enhance the governance of our appraisal district. No currently serving TAD director or potential candidate has this type of experience. Since January 2025, she has attended all the entity meetings for those who voted for her the last time. I'm going to talk about the actual process. Mr. Lasada, whom most of you know, Mr. Lasada, he actually had a subcommittee to streamline the process of applications, those that want to serve on the ARB at $185 a day. I tried to get many of your citizens to sit on those boards to hear your citizens protest. Well, that process has been set up and applications are submitted to the ARB chair. It's a separate entity under the tax code, if those are not familiar. And then there's a committee at TAD to choose the members who are going to be approved before it goes before the entire board. That's where Saida's genius will lie. She not only has read the property tax code, understands being an ARB member, she knows what it takes to represent the public in a fair and balanced manner. And I hope tonight that you'll consider her as a nominee. I want to thank you for your time. It's good seeing you. And I heard you came highly recommended.
Thank you, sir.
And your predecessor, thumbs up.
He's awesome.
So, and I know you'll do the school district fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Have a
you,
good
Mr.
evening.
Bennett.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, last call for Ms. Bynum. Okay, so then we'll close. Yeah, okay. So that concludes our oral report. So we'll go right into reports for the superintendent. And our first one will be from board members. If they want to give you any information about our convention update for TexEdCon in Houston this last weekend. So Ron, would you like to start?
You're right-handed, are you right?
Well, no, I just thought, well, we'll just go down the line.
So, yes, I had a bit of a unique experience this year. I got to spend very little time at TASB. I was at leadership. I was accepted into the leadership TASB program. Marilyn, Dr. Marilyn Tolbert is currently a Master School Board member, as well as Mr. Newcomb. I knew from them to expect an intense program, and they did their best to prepare me for that. But I got there, and it was such a great experience. It's meaningful, it's applicable. Every hour we spent together was something that I was just able to just apply directly to what's not only going on within our district, but other districts. For 3 days, we're start at 7, Finn has back in the hotel room at 9 p.m. and we only stopped to eat, and those were all working, working lunch, working dinner. I just can't thank both of you enough for encouraging me to do that. It is a great program. I was a little concerned. I know Paige has expressed some interest in doing that program someday, but I was thinking, man, are they going to we already have 2 master board members. Are they going to, well, that's the goal apparently in this program, is as many districts as possible to have all master school board members. And after being through week 1 of 5, I can see the benefits of that program and how it just makes board members better. And I'm excited about going to Harlingen in November to do another week. It's great stuff. I appreciate y'all for
Well, we're glad you're doing
Dr.
it.
Hollingsworth for making sure that I could afford to do it, and the school district supporting that. It's just been a great experience so far.
Grateful for you for doing it. Yeah.
Ms. Ring?
Well, my time wasn't quite as exciting or jam-packed as that, but it was another wonderful conference. I think we all had an enjoyable time down there and learned a lot. I particularly thought the general sessions were very good this time. The speakers that they had were excellent, and so I enjoyed those. And then I had a lot of required hours that I needed to do in terms of legislative update and human trafficking training, so I was in a lot of those type of classes this time. So.
Good. I agree with you. I thought the general sessions were really good, especially Kevin Brown. If you don't know that name, I would look him up, and he has a book, and he really talks about moments that make a difference in your life. And it was very, very inspiring. I went to delegate assembly, which is where you watch and while they pass all the different things and all the different policies. They have a new mission statement. TASB has some new outlines that they wanted to do, policies and procedures. So sat in on all of that. I'm a nerd, so I kind of like all that. But it was very, very good, and went to the legislative update, and then also went to a session called Innovate to Elevate, and talked about innovation days and how teachers. I used to do it. I remember, and I was told Ron. He told me about it, and I remember it being. Used to call it clubs. Right, when I taught, but it's called Innovation Day. It was very, very interesting. So we may be talking about that in the future. So it was a productive meeting. I think we were all dreading to go to Houston, but it all ended up being good. Yeah, so.
Houston was great.
Mr. Newcomb?
This is the delegate handbook that she was talking about, that William was actually our delegate and our alternate. They got to sit and go through that. And I got to go a few days early because I serve on the TASB board, state board. And there were a lot of changes that were passed in the delegate assembly for school boards. We redid our whole policy. We redid our cornerstone principles. We redid the way we try to get legislation passed through Austin. So there were a lot of changes that went through. One of the things that I want to mention is that coming up starting September 29th, on your TASB member dashboard at tasb.org, they're going to do a one-pager on everybody's district.
Oh.
So I'm going to pass this down so you can see it. It's an early look at our particular district. But this will be public information, so I'm going to start it with Blake, and then we'll go down that way. But that's something that TASB has come up with. TASB's come up with to go through that. And, just so you know, Ron, 1998 was the best class.
Whatever.
No,
TASB,
except every time we met, there was somebody shouting "best class ever." So
I know.
maybe you've been dethroned.
Well, maybe there's not many of us left. The Master Trustee, though, is a program where you get to speak and show that you can fulfill the duties of being a Master Trustee. So I'm excited that you're headed down that path. I think you'll really enjoy it. And just so you know, that leadership TASB he's talking about, that's people from all over the state. So over 1,000 school districts submitted people for this program, and Ron got selected. So
Only 34. Only 34 got selected.
Yeah.
Great.
And there's only 1,000 master trustees, and I don't know how many districts. There's a lot, like
1,700.
1,700 or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, over 10,000 trustees. Okay. All right, that's it. Okay, so next week, thank you all very much. Okay, next.
I didn't get to get
We
up.
care about
I
Blake.
had planned.
Yeah, we care about Blake. I'm not ignoring him. He just was not able to go. He had a family.
Member that had some serious surgery and stuff last minute and I couldn't go. But I did do some online training.
Yes.
Even while you guys were there.
Yes,
so
unfortunately, he has to do online training, which is not near as much fun.
Not near.
But anyway,
We all got 3 hours of free online training.
yes, we
for a
did. That's what I
class,
said.
so,
Yeah. Yeah, for delegate assembly. Okay, so thank you all very much. It was a great convention, and we enjoyed being with Dr. Hollingsworth and some of his team. So it was some good team building and bonding and learning. So next we will go to our EMS ISD Education Foundation. Ms. Surface is here to present her annual report. We're glad to see you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for having me and letting me speak. Trustees and executive team, President Tolbert and Dr. Hollingsworth, and of course the leadership team. The Education Foundation is profoundly thankful for the work that you guys do, and hearing the annual training that you guys commit to each year is really validating as a community member, that you guys are all doing all that you can to make sure that we are a district of excellence. So thank you for that. All right, so I would like to begin just by letting you know a little about the Education Foundation. I feel I have a unique place and position in this district as I head up an incredible department. That being that I answer to a 21-member volunteer board of directors, as well as the superintendent of schools each year, or as my daily. And we make sure that we maintain the integrity of our work that focuses on supporting programs within the school district with student excellence in academics as our top priority. I'm also sent in the place of the superintendent to events to represent our wonderful district, and I do that with honor, whether that be going to Austin to testify, or to community-led organizations boards, or meeting with business representatives. The best part of my job is connecting people with EMS ISD and the campuses surrounding. We operate on a fiscally sound budget beginning in January and ending in December. We have over $1.2 million in assets with zero liabilities. Even our credit card is prepaid. Though we are on a traditional year fiscal calendar, many of our programs and fundraisers overlap, hence the reason why we give this annual report, so that you can get a better picture of what we do. It's important for us to define this outside of just pulling a P&L for your view, and that way you truly get a better picture of what our activity is. I would like to relay a message from our board of directors that we are proud to have a board of trustees that provide a clear, collaborative, and comprehensive vision within the district departments that we're able to fully get behind and support for the last 20 years. You have already received our financial reporting in a separate document. I understand the value of a trustee, that your fiduciary responsibility is critical every year to the constituents of this district, and we want to maintain that transparent relationship as well on the foundation side. We post our 990 tax filings online as well for potential supporters and current donors. You have in that report that I sent our actual private financial information. So if you have any questions pertaining to that report, I would be happy to meet with you outside of a public meeting, and we can discuss any of the findings on the financial records. So I would like to now go over the annual report. I'd like to outline that in scholarships for both graduating high school seniors, students in 7th grade through 12th grade, whether it be an AP exam or a dual credit exam through our Carry the Torch program, or a staff member that would like to attend college for the first time or continue their educating hours, we provide these scholarships. And this year we were able to give out $166,348 in local scholarships. We also have staff members that write grants annually. These grants are to supplement any physical or tangible activity that would complement the curriculum the fantastic curriculum that they already have. Or they want to start a group or a club or an organization outside of school hours. And we were able to supply those resource grants in the amount of $83,250. We served 1,600 students at the Back to School Bash in 2024. And then our Carry the Torch, Fine Arts Showcase, and STEM programs equated to $65,573. We separate those funds from our classroom grants because they are taken out of different funding vessels. We have what's called a Because We Care campaign, which all staff members are able to participate in. And in order to maintain integrity in those numbers and make sure that 100% of those dollars go directly back into the classroom, we separate that. And then our fundraising activities, which are our fun golf tournament, Women of Influence, and gala, and things like that, we're able to take those sponsorship funding and be able to support those other programs, which sometimes can also be looked at as grants, but I like to keep that separate so that you guys have a full understanding of what we do. I'd like to let you guys know that we had over $454,000 in revenue and expenses of over $389,000. Most of our revenue is gained by fundraising and scholarship donations. Those scholarship donors are usually citizens within this community that are just looking to give back to graduate students, graduating seniors, and or giving a memorial scholarship that would complement a legacy within this district. And then, of course, we spend that in scholarships and donations, so you'll see that the bulk of our spending goes towards scholarships and grants as well. I will just wrap up with letting you guys know that in 2025, our Education Foundation is celebrating their 20th year within the district. We thank Weldon Hafley, who was then the superintendent at the time, for having the vision in knowing that we were such a fast growth district and we were going to need support and have a charity of choice that the district could rely on. And to be able to give these numbers and complement the work of the foundation today just goes to his legacy of a fine vision for this district. And we owe him a debt of gratitude for that. We celebrated 3 of our current board members. That was John Kraft, Robert Anderson, and Bobby Oney. Bobby Oney was a past trustee, and Robert Anderson is a business owner, local business owner in the district. And then, of course, John Kraft was a educator, coach, and then administrator within the district. They were actually on the chamber board of directors when the Education Foundation belonged to the Saginaw Chamber of Commerce. And now they currently are active members on the Education Foundation. So we wanted to thank them, and so we honored them at the Superintendent's Recognition of Giving. And that was a great surprise to them, and they felt honored to be there. In the later months, we will be celebrating Weldon Hafley with the City of Saginaw. They have an acknowledgement that they would like to give to him, and I will be attending a city council meeting to receive that, and then bringing it before you and asking his family to be here whenever we're able to announce that acknowledgement as well. It's very important for us to remember our history so that we're able to make good decisions about our future for the foundation, and our future does look very bright. Are there any questions?
Questions?
Now, we want to thank you, though. They all always are so kind to get some little token up here at our meeting space every night and every month, and we really appreciate that. The thoughtfulness that you carry out every month.
Well, you're welcome. It's the least we can do.
Thanks.
Thank you for all your hard work, because this is important funding that helps our district and helps the community. So thank you to you and Amanda and your board of directors.
Well, I would just say, as a new guy coming in 8 months on the job, one of the things that, a lot of districts have education foundations, but I will just tell you that ours is so healthy, such a part of the fabric of how we do business in the school district, from helping children get ready for the beginning of the school year, helping our teachers teach. It's really exceptional what this foundation does, how it is that y'all tap into our community. There's a very, very giving community that loves its schools, and it's truly exceptional, and it's a reflection of strong leadership. So thank you, Allie.
Thank you, Allie, very much. We appreciate you. Okay, our next reports, we have 3 under operations, and our first one will be our demographic and housing analysis. Mr. Templeton.
Good evening, Board President, members of the board, Superintendent Hollingsworth. It is great to be here with you this afternoon. I'll start by touching on the unemployment rates. And we look across the DFW region, we can see the unemployment rate is still very healthy, well below 4%. As of June 2025, it was right at 3.8%, which is well below the state's rate at about 4.1%. We are still seeing job growth. We're still leading the country in new home construction. Dallas-Fort Worth continues to be the #1 market for new home starts with 45,229. That's about the same number that it was a year ago, so it is kind of leveling off slightly. It is still up from where it was prior to the pandemic, but we're still very fortunate to see steady continued housing growth in the DFW region. It has been a little bit of a roller coaster over the last 4 years. The purple line represents the annualized start rate, but you can see over the last 6 quarters, the starts and closings, the turquoise line and the purple line, are staying much closer together. We did see a little bit of a dip in starts across the DFW region in the second quarter. In Eagle Mountain Saginaw, though, we actually saw a little bit of an increase in starts in the second quarter. The Eagle Mountain Saginaw School District is ranked 10th in the DFW region based on annual closings. That closing number is right at 1,572. We've got 1,647 vacant developed lots on the ground ready for builders to build homes. We have 9,411 future lots that are in the planning stages. Again, in the second quarter, we actually started 402 new home starts in the second quarter. That's the highest number that we've seen in the last 4 quarters. Pretty consistent to where it was a year ago, but all in all, a nice jump from what we saw in the first quarter. Closings, we closed 421 homes in the second quarter, so a very healthy amount of closings in the second quarter. When we separate out that housing data by your elementary attendance zone, the Hatley Elementary Zone is the most active elementary zone, far and away building more single-family homes than the other elementary schools. 876 is the annualized start rate. I'll move to the right side of that column or that row. We've got 655 vacant developed lots, 216 future lots in the Hatley zone. So that zone is going to start to slow down. And eventually, the Eagle Mountain Elementary Zone will likely become your fastest growing zone because they have such a high amount of future lots. 8,100 future lots in the planning stages in the Eagle Mountain Elementary Zone. Bryson, with 145 starts, was the 3rd most active elementary zone. These 3 elementary zones did see significant elementary growth this year, so they're actually a little bit above the forecast. When we get to the forecast slides, you can see, so the growth is happening in areas where there is new homes. There are areas where the enrollment is declining, but that's in those elementary zones that don't have as much housing activity. Touching briefly, out of the 80 clients that we work with in Texas, a majority of them, the enrollments are actually coming in low. So we are seeing that the enrollment patterns across the state have already shifted, and it's quite possibly that we've seen the highest enrollment in Texas public schools actually this past year. With the upcoming voucher bill and what we're seeing with choice and homeschool movement, the enrollment patterns are likely softening. Now, we do still have clients that are seeing growth, but they're just not quite growing as fast as they grew historically.
Bob, is there some of it due to the houses not turning over?
Yes. So it's not just one problem. It is the fact that homeowners are staying put because they likely took advantage of those low interest rates. So therefore, they've got a really low interest rate. The cost of housing is still very high. Now, we did see a 0.25% drop in the interest rate, It's likely there's talk about maybe 2 more drops through the rest of the year. We'll just have to wait and see. But relatively, the interest rates are still pretty high compared to where they were 3 years ago. So yes, folks are staying in homes longer because of the cost. And
So if there's no new homes and we don't get any new kids because the older, they're just keeping their house.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of factors at play there, and especially for older homeowners. You know, they've got their taxes frozen, their property values are frozen, so therefore that's an incentive to stay. And so definitely not as much turnover. So the new home market is making up a larger share of the total housing market because the builders are being very competitive with some incentives, buy downs. And so there's new home market is actually growing in share. It's still a challenging housing market, but the new housing market is being very competitive right now.
And Bob, it's more prevalent also in neighborhoods and communities where you have more affluence. You see even less turnover in some of those areas, correct?
Yes. And that comes back to, you know, when do those folks ultimately move? When the grandkids come. That's what, and I met a lady at the hotel this morning that they moved to Oklahoma City to be near grandkids. And so that's when a lot of times there ultimately is what finally causes some older homeowners to move is those kinds of changes. Now here's the big picture. Those green shaded areas are the active subdivisions. We have 27 actively building subdivisions, 9 future subdivisions that are in the planning stages. We do have groundwork underway on 1,600 lots. Those are the areas that have a red outline. So the developers are still working to deliver new lots. We delivered 151 lots in the second quarter. Your top 5 most active, just a real quick way to look to see where a majority of the housing is taking place. You can see it is currently in the Hatley Elementary Zone with North Point, 216 closings. Belt Mill is second with 204 annual closings. Cibolo Hills, 159. Bailey Park, 157. And the ranch at Duck Creek, 155 closings. So about 50% of the activity can be found in these 5 subdivisions. Just touching on some of the highlights, North Point is 2,469 total lots, 104 homes under construction. You can see from the satellite image back from May, the volume of vacant developed lots, the future lots that are in the development pipeline. And again, they are had about 104 homes under construction. The annual closing is about 216 homes per year. Belt Mill, second most active subdivision with 1,189 total lots, 314 homes under construction. They've got 28 new homes in inventory, closing about 204 homes per year. And that price point is upper 200s to about 500,000. Again, you can see the satellite image from May on the left side of the screen where there are the future lots that are in the development pipeline. Meadow Lakes is a smaller infill down in the very southern portion of the Greenfield Elementary Attendance Zone. 206 total lots, 34 vacant developed lots have been delivered, plus 120 lots that are in the planning future stage. And it's about 300 to 400,000 in the Meadow Lakes development in the southern part of the Greenfield zone. Multifamily picture, also a little bit of a roller coaster. The occupancy rates have moved up a little bit over the last couple of quarters. You can see it now stands at 86.9%. Again, we're just adding so many units that is what's keeping that occupancy rate down, is just the volume of new completed units, while we've only absorbed about 27,868 units. The rent rates have kind of leveled off. So they've kind of leveled in at about 1,500 is the asking rent, and then the effective rent is about 1,525. When we look specifically at the Eagle Mountain Saginaw's multifamily picture, we have 3 projects that are under construction. Those are the purple shaded circles. We've got one in the Hatley zone. That's actually a single family for rent community. So we have 2 of those. And we do see those rents the yields are a little higher than what would be traditional multifamily. And so we've got at least a dozen of these that have already been built in the DFW region, several in the Northwest School District. They tend to average yield at about 0.2 to 0.4, whereas traditional regular Class A multifamily is in that 0.1 range. Now, we will provide, when we do our geocode this year and when we update our mapping software, a full yield report of all of your multifamily and all of your single family, so you can just go and look and see. But, you know, I'm always surprised when I look at it. There'll be some that'll be lower, and then there'll be some that'll be a little higher. But I have seen some as high as 0.6 in your district. Wow. And so, but it's a mix of some are very low yielding, some are a little higher. Now down near Willow Creek is a single family for rent community as well. And that's about 166 units. And then down in the Remington Point zone, that's a traditional apartment complex that's going on down there. Here's just an example that Tricon Saginaw, which is just south of Willow Creek Elementary. It's 166 units that are leasing is underway. You can see on that satellite image from May, that kind of western edge of that community is finished and leasing. They'll likely finish out in by the next summer, be when this could be fully finished and fully occupied. Now here's a look at the projections that we did this past spring. So we are in the process, as I mentioned, we're about to geocode your students. We're going to be updating the projections by the end of the month. But looking at where your enrollment stands right now compared to the forecast, your elementary, these numbers are of September the 9th, and your elementary numbers will grow throughout the year. These projections are for the end of October, and so you're at 10,718 elementary students versus a projection of 10,976. But I want to point out Hatley. You can see Hatley is about 50 students above our forecast. The other active one that was seeing pretty strong growth was the, let's see, I have to go back, refresh my memory real quick. The three zones, Eagle Mountain, Bryson. The Eagle Mountain enrollment is about 20 kids over the forecast, and the Bryson is about 19 kids. So overall, it is growing closer to the forecast. When we get to the end of October, we'll likely be mid, 10,750, close to 10,008. When we look, and then what is this really going to ultimately mean? It likely means that Hatley, Eagle Mountain Elementary, Bryson, those numbers are probably going to move up a year. So when we see that Eagle Mountain is at 745 in 2017, it's quite possible now that the new projections that our producers are going to move up those like Hatley, Eagle Mountain, Bryson. Now the thing about Hatley, it's going to hit a leveling point within a couple of years. So it's not just going to keep growing indefinitely because it is about to run out of VDL and futures. Whereas you'll notice the Eagle Mountain forecast, it's growing year after year because there's just so many lots left in the Eagle Mountain zone.
So then when you make those adjustments, that then feeds into your projections for that feeder pattern.
Yes.
The middle school, high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're right. Ultimately, that does have an impact on the middle school and the high school because that elementary is a little bit higher. At the secondary level, of course, we are going to be working middle school attendance zones, and you can see the middle schools are very close. The Wayside zone was off about 1 kid. The Prairie Vista was off about 7. Highland was off about 4. We definitely are a little bit under at Creekview and a little bit under at Marine Creek. So those 2 middle schools a little under, but the other 3 to 4 were right on the forecasted numbers. At the high school level, Eagle Mountain High School is up. There could be some transferring. I'll definitely look forward to geocoding to see how that new high school, it may be inflated because of some transfer into. And that's, new high schools do tend to create some excitement for that. But when we do the geocode, we will definitely be looking to see if it is growth within the zone or if it's a transfer issue. The Chisholm Trail is down about 60 from the forecast. Saginaw High School right on the forecast number. Boswell High School is about 90 kids over. But overall, the high school numbers are about 217 above the forecast. Now, this is another phenomenon that we're seeing across many of our clients, is the elementary numbers are coming in soft, secondary numbers are actually coming in a little higher. Now, we have some suspicions about what could be causing some of that. Some of that could be returned from homeschool, returned from charter school, because the homeschool environment really can't compete when it comes to secondary UIL, extracurricular activities. There's some excitement that happens that those families end up missing and wanting those UIL, those fine arts, those athletic experiences. But we're seeing a similar pattern with many of our clients as it relates to the secondary. Key takeaways, we did see a nice number of starts and closings in the second quarter, back over 400 starts and closings. We do have a high inventory of homes under construction, 546. Finished vacant homes also really could lead to a surge in closings in the second half of the year through the rest of the 25 calendar year. We've got groundwork underway on 1,600 lots. The September enrollment is coming in less than 1% off the forecast, and that number is going to continue to grow at the elementary levels for several more months. The younger grade levels are coming in under, while the older grade levels are coming in slightly over the projections. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
So this,
Comments?
you talked about the geocoding. That, you haven't done that before, correct?
We do that every year.
Okay, so that's just the timing of it.
Yes.
So and that reveals where you're able to see transfer, stuff like that, where those kids are coming from.
We need to wait for the school year to get, a few weeks into the school year so the enrollments can settle. But we do this every year, and we do a comparison. So we're also comparing this geocode to the last geocodes, so we can see where are the newcomers, the new students versus those that have left. So we're looking at new ways to explore that data so we can provide you more clarity on the new to the district and those that have left the district.
Yeah, we have a transfer report here. So I went and took those numbers and put them in, so it was definitely closer. Just looking at the, the variance there, with Eagle High School being the new one that was so far off. Okay.
Other questions, comments, Steve?
Well, I only have one comment. Back on your district new home starts and closings, you were giving us a little optimistic look at that, which I appreciate, but when I look at that, it looked like the number, compared it to 2024 and saw it down, so.
It is. So you can also, you're right, I was positive in terms of the last 4 quarters.
Yeah, I noticed.
But yes, when you look back at 2023, it was 1,900 was the start.
Yeah.
And so we are, I think back in 23, the interest rates were climbing. So you had a lot of folks that may have already started those homes. And, but we're assuming that we're going to maintain about a 1,500 pace is what I'm assuming.
That's your thoughts, 1,500 there?
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Anyone else? Thank you, Bob, as always. We appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, our next report under operations is Mr. Welch, monthly construction update.
Good afternoon. Just kind of talking some things Bob was talking to y'all about, plus the questions you asked. What I went exploring again today, and I saw more new home construction dirt work, enough to where I called the boss and said, we need to travel on Friday because it's coming.
Okay.
And so as Hatley in that one area, there's no futures there. They'll build out, but it'll start slowly moving up to the high school. And that is under construction. And so that'll be maybe a couple of years out as far as a lot of magnitude. But I think it'll just keep growing. It won't just drop and stop. That's what I'm seeing. So this afternoon, we got some things to Wayside Middle School. Just like Bob also mentioned that the middle school attendance zones will be going out end of this next month, going to some campuses, looking at students at Wayside, Prairie Vista, and Highland, as far as starting to move those students into their high school attendance zones. So that will happen later this month.
I don't think Bob mentioned that.
Well, he mentioned part of it. He
Oh,
said,
Yeah, he didn't mention that, no.
but we'll be exploring that later this month, and we'll come back and report to y'all.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we got the picture of Wayside in the morning sun. You can see just as far as the grounds, they're starting to clean up. You see the black dirt, the landscaping starting to get formed. Just again, looking at site work, you see the roofs, as far as the metal, that is already started in progress. All the masonry is 99% complete. On the top right, you'll see that the permanent precast fence is going in, and
What
it'll
kind of
be,
fence is that? Will it be? Is that a wrought iron? What type?
no, it's precast, concrete.
Okay.
And it'll be, right now it's white, but it'll be stained. But it goes all the way down our property line of those homes. And if you'll notice on this one, it's offset off the fence line because that is a water easement through there. And you had to drill piers when you put this type of fence in, so we couldn't get up to it. So we'll have to put some DG and something back there to make sure that, it's not just a bunch of weeds. But you won't be able to see down that alleyway.
That'll be our property though, back to the fence line?
Yes, and we'll maintain it.
All right.
Yeah, that'll be important to make sure it's maintained, because,
Yeah, no, we'll have that fence. We're also going to put another fence in, so make sure that stays our property.
okay.
You know what I mean? Because I can put a chain link fence. So
Please educate me. DG?
we've talked about that, or concrete.
What is DG?
Granite.
Okay.
Decompressed,
gotcha.
decomposed granite.
Decomposed granite, gotcha. Okay, all right. I was gonna act like I knew what that was. That's DG, of course.
That's how we feel about all your school terms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, that's true.
So moving again, some more site work. You see the sidewalk in the front of Wayside's been poured. You also see around the gym where buses will let off, and that's been poured, and we'll continue doing that on the site. And the picture on the top left, they were putting framework in for the curtain wall, and the majority of those panels have now been put in, so it's changed that front of that look of that building already. And that will continue in some other areas later this week. Moving to the gym, this area of the building, which is the northern part, is the most complete part of the whole building. So this is all the floor as of today is laying down. And so they'll start getting ready to sand it, stain it, stripe it, do all those things. But it is moving right along. And then the tile work in the hallway, so that's what you start to see, almost everything but the floor is there. You got the tile, you got the last paint, you got the ceiling grids in, the tiles, and the lighting. So we're in a lot of phases. That's where we're at in this building. Moving over to the cafeteria, and you see the tile, you see we still got to put the flooring down, and you see some kitchen work. You see the freezer's been dropped in, and there's some above work in the kitchen area, and then the quarry tile, which is covered up, has also been installed in there. So it's progressing. Moving to the main part of the building, okay, the far right, when you come in, that's just a back hallway for the administration building, or the administrative complex of that. Top left, you see this scaffolding. Well, that's all the way to the ceiling, so they can work on the ceiling grids. They put the first paint on there, sealing that up, so they'll, later this week, hopefully start tearing that down, so that means all your ceiling's been completed, and they're doing the fur downs and a lot of good work in that area.
Already got some vandalism on the walls there too.
Yeah. Okay, so these last three are just different phases of what I'd call the main academic area. So you got the first floor in two different places, and you got the upstairs in two different places. So one of the four, I walk down there today, I go, all we need is carpet and things to put on the wall. But as far as the final paint and all that, it's there. Then you move down to the south, well, the grid needs to be put in. And then you go upstairs, and you've got a little bit of lighting in there, and then the last one, it's sheetrock, and they're going to tape and bed it. So they're all in different little phases, but they just keep them going. So we'll bring some more pictures of that next month to show you all the progress in that area. Just other updates, we're still working on the pond with the high school, so there's discussion on when to start that. It's kind of a blend of when it's going to cool down, so we don't have to use all the water out of it, because that's it needs to be completed, but we're going to probably wait another month. As you came here tonight, you maybe saw the sign and the construction work that's begun on the Dick and Heidi Elkins Agricultural Science Complex. And again, started this month and started next year, hopefully will be completed. High school renovation, Saginaw High School, you will have we're recommending a contractor for tonight's agenda, and that will begin in January of 26 with the phase 1 transmission and easement transformer, and then the easements will be vacated. And Element 19, we worked with the city last week at the planning development meeting, pre-development meeting. And so that's where you sit there and they tell you things they want to see and so forth. So it's kind of for the next month, we go back and forth, kind of clearing the docket so we can get going on the project. Watson High School, still working with the architect, schematic design. It has 4 classrooms and then a hallway/cafeteria expansion. We're taking the hallway and adding it to the cafeteria because they don't need that hallway. They don't use that one in between. Saginaw Elementary, we've made some visits at other buildings around the area, looking at kind of design features of what the WPA building looks like and how some are different. That's slated for June of 2027 on that, begin that. And it's a 2-year project. And so we're still working on that, the design and the parking lot, and how that will come together. And on the Stephen G. Newcomb Middle School, still hadn't heard anything new on the phase 2 platting of that project, but that'll drive the start time on that because of the water.
No update on that, I don't guess. That, what, up on Bonds Ranch, what they're doing on the south side, do you know what that is? I didn't know if that was clearing for water or that.
If you look down Fleming Ranch, I did see that's where the 54 is coming up.
Right.
And there's different phases of that, and they don't start at the same time. So that middle one will finish before the one at the Eagle Mountain plant will.
You're talking about it on the east side of the high school?
Correct. And the south side of the road, they've got all that.
Yeah.
Going up, so I didn't know if that was water. It is.
Well, I assume that's what it was because it was coming right up the other side where they're building the road, so they're going to put the water in first. I would think that's what.
Yeah, it
Typically.
goes. Yeah. Looks like
All right.
Feel good about Wayside?
I did today. Felt a little better, but there's always something, Mr. Newcomb.
Well, it's a little different because when we opened Eagle Mountain High School, we had an empty part of the building. They could kind of do the punch list. We're kind of going in full force.
Well, the gym and area, all the locker rooms, so that'll be start punched out first. Cafeteria, and we'll just keep moving along. But at the end, it's almost kind of like Hadley. It's going to be right at the very end.
Yeah.
And we'll have to come back and,
Follow up.
on nights and weekends and to just finish out the punch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Lots of great work.
It's exciting times.
Exciting
Glad to hear
time.
it.
Lots of things going
I did
on.
a
Basically-
last look at Wayside here the other night. I got several people that sent me pictures from that.
Yeah.
It was neat. There were a lot of folks there, and Dr. Sewell Bernard and her team did a really nice job. Just made everybody feel welcome. They'd put a lot of work and effort into it. It was nice.
I can promise you, everybody driving around that area is going to be really glad when you can drop kids off. Whether you're dropping kids off or just driving by Wayside.
100%.
Traffic pattern changes.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, well, we have a lot to cover in closed session. So it is currently 5:57 PM on September 22nd, 2025. The board will now recess for dinner and then reconvene in a closed meeting pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Section 551071 for the purpose of private consultation with the board's attorney. Section 551.072 for the purpose of deliberating on a purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Section 551.074 for the purpose of deliberating the appointment, employment, reassignment duties, discipline, or dismissal of an officer or employee. Section 551.076 for the purpose of deliberations regarding the deployment or specific occasions of implementation or security audits. And Section 551.0821 to discuss specific personal identifying information about a student. This is a public meeting of the Board of Education of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District. The board is reconvening the public meeting on September 22nd, 2025 at 7:09 PM. And we'll now consider the subject set forth in the posted agenda. And we are going to start with our opening ceremony, my favorite part of the day, of the meeting, and that is with Mrs. Green and her students. So, Mrs. Green, would you like to introduce your group?
Y'all are gonna do great. I can feel it. Don't be nervous.
Look great already.
To Dr. Collinsworth, Dr. Colbert, and the school board, I would like to introduce you to our wonderful Wrangler leaders at Chisholm Ridge Elementary to lead us through our opening ceremony. First, I'd like to introduce you to Jamie Lorch. She's a fourth grader, daughter to Todd and Zelda Lorch. She loves arts and crafts, pottery, drawing. She has these creative and intricate paper dolls that she makes. She loves cheerleading, one-wheeling, roller coasters, and water slides. And she's not scared of them.
Nice.
Next, I'd like to introduce Carter Shin, a fifth grader. His parents are Judith and Aaron Shin. He loves gaming, running, football, reading, YouTube, and watching all kinds of sports. Next to him is Chrislyn Adams, another fifth grader, daughter to Ayana and Michael Adams. She loves drawing, art, gymnastics, watching TV, and she loves going to her favorite specials enrichment class, which is fine arts, because she loves to do art and sing.
Love it.
And last but not least, we have Jamie Myrick, another fifth grader. She's the daughter of Thomas and Sonny Myrick. Oh, Jamie loves volleyball, baking, pickleball, taking walks and running, tennis, playing Roblox. She loves playing with her casted dogs, making play art, and roller skating.
Thank you
So
all.
Nice.
if you would all stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Join me for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Nice job. Very nice job, Chisholm Ridge. Very nice job. Thank you so much.
Wranglers did it.
Very great. Okay, now we have some special introductions. We're going to start with communications. Mr. Matthew LeBlanc.
Dr. Tolbert, Dr. Hollingsworth, board, thank you so much for having us tonight. I am very excited to be here to announce somebody you know very well, Ms. Chris Hill, as the Director of Multimedia Marketing and Engagement for Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD. So Chris, Chris is familiar because she's been with our district for over 6 years now in our communications department. And prior to that, she worked in Duncanville ISD as well as a communications coordinator. But before that, Chris was the promotions manager at KTVT CBS 11. And she has a very long career coming up with innovative marketing campaigns and doing graphic design work, doing photography, and of course, a lot of video work with a number of television stations. A long career with that. And Chris is also an Emmy Award winner. And so we are very blessed to have Chris moving into this director role, and we certainly want to welcome her into the role as the Director of Multimedia Marketing and Engagement in EMS ISD.
We are so
Congratulations.
I was curious about that Emmy when I read that.
Her title's impressive.
Exciting. Okay, we have another special introduction from Mr. Abishad.
President Tolbert, Dr. Hollingsworth, Board of Trustees, it is my distinct honor to introduce, he's now been on the job for a couple of months. 64 days, but who's counting? The head coach at Chisholm Trail, the athletic coordinator, Marvin Nash. He comes to it, this is his first head coaching job, but not without a ton of experience. We pulled him from Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels as the assistant director of player personnel. Before that, he was at Rice University in the same capacity as director of personnel, and he won a state championship at Denton Guyer and was at San Marcos, amongst other places. And already he has won over a community and staff without bringing anybody in, and very excited. He has a fiancee, Brittany, and he says, and the only month they can get married is July, so that's happening. Has a daughter, Reagan, and she's at the University of Houston, about to finish up. And Damon is at UNT, and then Trey is a freshman. And so we are very excited about the job he's already done. Won 63-3 this past Friday night. And then we have a big one Thursday night at Farrington Field against Arlington Heights, and he's already guaranteed a victory. So that's good. So maybe I put that. Maybe I put that. But anyway, board.
So far, so good.
He has already made an enormous impact and want everybody to know Coach Nash at Chisholm Trail.
Welcome, Coach. Welcome.
Okay.
I want to say, great job. Listen, as a coach, coming in as you did on short notice and stuff, it's hard to come in anywhere. It's also hard to come in when you're the only one coming in.
Yeah.
You know that, right? And so, great job. I mean, I don't know how, great job. Great job.
Well, that concludes all the fun things. Now we go back to reports of the superintendent. So if you came here just for the great things that we started with and you don't want to sit through all the others, you are free to go. You are perfectly welcome to stay. But if I were you, I would go. But thank you for coming. Chisholm Ridge, you guys did a great job. Great job.
Good job, guys.
Parents, thank you for bringing them. Okay, Mr. McWhirter, you're up. You know you're ready. You know you're next, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Great, thank you.
I have to let you get up here so you don't reread it.
Good evening, Dr. Tolbert, trustees, Dr. Hollingsworth. This is your maintenance fall update. First, we'll start with completed summer projects. Ceiling lift replacements. The sped ceiling lifts were replaced at Boswell High School, Ed Wilkie Middle School, and Prairie Vista Middle Schools due to age and inability to find parts.
Can I ask a question real quick? I had written them in it. What do these do? What's the purpose of
They're in the sped restrooms, and they're used to lift students.
Okay.
Over to
Students who have mobility issues?
Mobility issues. Okay. They need to be, they have to be lifted. Yeah, have to be lifted.
And then new batteries were installed in the ceiling lift at Saginaw High School. Other campuses were identified with ceiling lift issues, and replacement units have been ordered. Saginaw High School library ceiling repair. The plumbing department identified and repaired 2 40-foot roof drains leaking into the ceiling structure. The general maintenance department repaired 600 square feet of ceiling drywall.
Wow.
That's a big job.
That is a huge job.
Elementary school bike rack replacement. The old style bike racks were replaced with new bike racks at all elementary schools across the district. And just as further information, we're reassessing some of the elementary schools right now and ordered more bike racks for some of the schools that have a higher traffic of bicyclists. So we're in the process of reevaluating. Marine Creek Middle School, the electrical department repaired 26 lights. These were out of warranty, So they were replaced. The HVAC department completed district-wide preventative maintenance.
Question on the Marine Creek.
Yes, sir.
With that being so new, is that, those upgrades, was that just not something that was available up front when we built that? Or-
Well, so those lights have a 5-year warranty on them, and that school, I believe, was finished in 2019. It started in 2017, so they were out of warranty.
That all on the last 5 years? 6?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So some aren't even less than that long. Okay.
Got to get those architects on this right page there.
Yes,
We need-
sir.
We need maintenance-free stuff, not the stuff we got to replace every 5 years.
Yeah.
Thinking candles?
Okay, I'm going the wrong direction. Sorry, y'all. Okay, Prairie Vista Middle School RTU replacement. 3 damaged RTUs and 1 air handler were replaced. These were caused by freeze damage from the 2021 winter storms, and insurance did cover the unit's replacements. The main water line to Gold Star Bus Barn broke and repairs were made. And at Gilliland Elementary School, the main water line to an irrigation double check valve broke and repairs were made.
We were able to handle both of those
Yes, sir.
internally? Great.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Annual gas testing was completed district-wide as required by the Railroad Commission of Texas. The paint department completed numerous district-wide painting projects. The grounds and irrigation department finished the last year of the 5-year plan at Watson High School and Highland Middle School. Then completed work orders. Here's a look at the work orders completed from May of 2025 through August of 2025. A total of 5,995 work orders were completed during this 4-month time frame. And those are the team members and the amount of work orders that each group closed out. And then upcoming, here are some of the upcoming fall projects. Repair the bus loop concrete drive at Comanche Springs Elementary School. That's already been completed. Replace 10 pole lights campus-wide at Boswell High School. Complete gymnasium LED light retrofits at Creekview and Prairie Vista Middle Schools. Restripe pavement at the Willow Creek and Remington Point Elementary Schools. The locksmith department finished installing of peepholes on all exterior doors district-wide per Texas Education Agency requirements. And then the grounds and irrigation department will continue with preventative maintenance landscaping plan at the following campuses: Gilliland, High Country, Northbrook, Parkview, Willow Creek Elementary Schools, and Creekview Middle School.
Can you tell us about the 10 poles at Boswell? Were those light parking lot?
Light poles in the
They're
parking
parking
lots.
lot?
Yes, sir.
All right.
And they rot at the
Right.
bottom and rust out, so.
Okay.
we're in the process.
Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you.
Go ahead.
No, no,
Questions,
you were gonna
comments?
ask. Okay. Tim Daughtry would have done this.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you can go. We'll let you
But,
do it today. That'll be great.
I'm not glad he's off the board, but he's always stolen my thunder on this. And we are so blessed to have a maintenance department with the skill sets that we have, the abilities, the amount of projects that we can handle in-house. Of course, I've been in the district since 1989, and there was a time when you know, we had a small group of people that were having to do a little bit of everything. Now we have specialists in almost every field, and they do a great job. If you just look at the list with 5,000 work orders, and everything's handled professionally from whatever it is. I just know we're really, really fortunate to have such a great group of skilled men and women to handle these projects for us. And I applaud your team and our maintenance department, because I don't know that happens.
You know, a
It
couple of
does not
things.
happen everywhere.
Your restriping of pavement, and that's something that's, I've already noticed that we really stay on top of, and that just looks, you notice it when it doesn't happen. If you're in a district or at a school where it's not happening, you notice those things. Little things, and I'm going to go back, and like this that seems like no big deal, but having been a principal on a big high school campus, that repainting of the tops of those trash cans, again, you don't notice it unless it's never taken care of. And that attention to detail is not lost on us. And so just really grateful. Thanks,
Thank you.
Tom.
We appreciate the board's support and Dr. Hollingsworth
Yes,
as
sir.
well. So thank you very much.
Did you want to say something?
Yeah, just a question about
Now you're gonna be something bad. Go ahead.
Should have let him go first.
on the exterior. Is that a new stipulation from TEA?
Yes.
Yes.
It was?
Yes.
Yeah.
Teeth holes.
And they're installed at, I believe, 34 inches for ADA as well. So
Fairly certain the state provided funding for that to happen, didn't they, Dr. Hollingsworth?
No.
No, they did not.
Oh, it'd be an unfunded mandate? Okay.
They think they provided funding for safety and security.
Right,
'cause
right,
they
right, right.
Increased
So
the
any
11
exterior
cents.
door that didn't have a window that you could look out of, every single exterior door that didn't have that needed the people. So,
It's only exterior doors, right? Not
yes, sir.
classroom.
Exterior doors.
Any other comments or questions?
Very, very proud of the way our district's, the stewardship of what we have. I mean, I've talked to people that are in neighboring districts, things like that all the time. Just drive up and look at our grounds and look at our new stuff to old stuff. We're gonna take care of what we got. And that's a value.
So thank you again so much, and please pass that on to your group, to your team. Thank you. Okay. Chief Ramirez, schools,
Hello, before I get started, I want to
report.
just, again, Tom's group, that mandate came out to us where we're requiring peepholes and also locks on roof access doors. The maintenance department, they got it and they just did it. And so when we had the vulnerability study last week, we passed with flying colors on all those things. And most districts are still struggling to get that stuff done. But once we put that order in, they made it happen. And so really hats off to their group for what they did in a short period of time. President Tolbert, Dr. Hollingsworth, members of the board, I'm here to present this report is going to be a 2024-2025 year in review of Department of Safety and Security. So as you know, the EMS Police Department make up one chief, one captain, and lieutenant, 2 sergeants, 1 detective, 2 canine officers, 2 sables at each high school, 1 at Watson. We have one at each middle school and 1 at each elementary school. So as you know, our police department continues to provide expanded police services to include our rapid response team, motorcycle unit, bicycle unit, K-9 unit. And so when we look at last year, from August 1st, 2024 to May 23rd, 25, total calls for service, 4,216. Total number of arrests, 81. Total number of reports taken, 896. Total number of K-9 searches, 233. Number of traffic stops, 303. So again, officers stayed busy, and like I said, the number of arrests different on different occasions. There was actually some in-custody arrests, some warrants, and also some out-of-custody filings on those arrests. So wanted to point out that in addition to the work they did at the schools, after-hour events, total number of 628 after-hour or athletic events worked by our officers. And the good thing is there was no 0 injuries and 0 arrests occurring during that time. Of course, they had issues, but they were addressed. But again, able to work that many events without a major incident is really good. So over the summer, we do take the opportunity to train our officers, continue training. A lot of our officers take the opportunity to go to SABLE training to get their certification and to be either intermediate, advanced, or master SABLE officer. I'm happy to say I had 5 officers this summer complete their master certification program. And that's something they do on their own at their time off, but we do encourage them to do that. In addition, we also did alert training, the advanced law enforcement rapid response training. This is mandate by the state. They require training, but they require only 16 hours every 2 years. So other departments, that's what they get. So Fort Worth training is 16 hours every 2 years. What we do is 40 hours every year. In addition to that, every other Wednesday, our officers go in and they do additional training at the schools. And it's something that our rapid response teams do. And then we bring our other officers in at least once a month to do that training as well. So again, We think it's important that we'd be able to respond to any crisis, and that's why we train so much. In addition, we do train in blood stop, the use of Narcan, CPR, behavioral threat assessments. We had the opportunity to have an overview of student services and school administration, thanks to Walter and his bunch. They come in and teach us a little something. And of course, our standard response protocols, and of course, our firearms and taser qualifications we do every year. And that's an end of the state mandate. In addition to our officers, we have our campus security. We have them in every high school. We have them in 2 of the middle schools. And we have our overnight crew that are doing a lot of work out there, so they're not forgotten, but they really do a good job watching the district force overnight. They also have a lot of training over the summer, including blood stop, CPR. They do the CPI training, and they also continue to train on standard response protocols. They attend the civilian response to active shooter, which is CRACE, as it's called. They also do Title IX training, and then the Texas Administrative Code for safety requirements. And those are all your doors, the locks, and everything like that they look at every day. In addition, there were some projects that we completed. Be able to finish middle schools and high schools, all the lockdown buttons, or buzz-in buttons, I'm sorry. Lockdown systems were tested along every campus. They work. We mapped out the cameras in every campus, meaning we able to match the camera with each location to help us better identify anybody that comes on campus, and we can be able to track them a little better by following with the cameras themselves. And again, we have a continuous upgrade and installation of cameras and monitors. Happy to report that last year, all campuses completed state and district required drills to practice and prepare in an event of actual crisis. And then also our mobile command post was completed and is in service now. So one of the things we do recognize our officers toward the end of the year. What we had, Dr. Hollingsworth was able to attend, and I really appreciate that. That meant a lot to the officers. But we identified, of course, officers for our elementary, secondary, and our supervisor year. Kaylee McDonald and Officer James Rhodes for our elementary, secondary, Nick Martinez at Washington High School, and Officer Billy Ray at Boswell High School. Supervisor year was Sergeant Jerome Scott. Because we know we can't do it alone, we did decide this year this was a new award that we gave out, and it's School Safety Administrator of the Year. And a lot of administrators do a great job. All these guys are working with us and taking their role seriously when it comes to safety and security. But we're able to identify these 3, Stacy Witt for the elementary school, Dan Russell for our middle school, and of course for the high school, we have Jennifer Thomas. Again, just great work that they showed throughout the year, and we just thought, we'd recognize their efforts. That's all I have. If anybody has any questions or concerns.
Questions?
Yeah.
Comments?
I think I just had 2. Hold on just a second. So on the campus security, you mentioned we had 2 of the 5 middle schools. Is the other 3, do we need funding, or you don't require?
Well, the way the district did it is if it met a certain enrollment, like it was 1,000 or 1,200.
So is it based on numbers?
Based on the enrollment.
Okay,
And
thank
so
you.
that's why we only have met Marine Creek and Wayside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that at a banquet that you do, you recognize your administrators of the year, or is that a meeting?
Well, it was just a meeting.
It was our school safety meeting, yeah, for the summer. Yes,
This is
sir.
our school safety meeting, but the banquet for the officer, we had it up here, and it was a luncheon, and basically for the officers, and then again, Dr. Hollingsworth at our last safety security committee, we brought in our administrators.
Okay. Thank you.
But if you're interested in that, really, we can send an invite to you as well,
Sure.
for both.
No, yeah, I was saying we could recognize them at a board meeting.
Yeah,
even.
that'd
Okay.
be good.
Yes, sir.
I mean, to give them some recognition.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good call.
That may go great, another Monday night, I'll miss it at home.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Our canine officers, are they weapons and drugs?
Yes, so we
Both
have.
do both?
Yeah,
Okay.
We have Ava, who is our weapons dog, and then Nova is our narcotics.
Okay, so one does weapons, one does.
Yeah.
Doing great.
We appreciate
And all
it. Thank you for your support, guys.
$15,000 a campus that the state
Yeah,
gave us, that's
awesome.
wonderful.
I know, we're doing
Yeah.
pretty good. Well, thanks for your support.
Thank you, Chief
always.
Ramirez. We
Chief.
appreciate
Thank
you and
Yeah.
your team.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes those reports. Now we will go to the education service reports. We have several of those, and the first one is with Dr. Jones.
Good evening, Dr. Dr. Hollingsworth and board members. This evening, I'm going to give a presentation on the accountability report for our school year 24-25, also showing trends from previous years. We're going to begin with the mission of Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District is to foster a culture of excellence that instills a passion for a lifetime of continuous achievement in every student. And the purpose of tonight's presentation is to review the accountability ratings for 2023, 2024, and 2025. 2023 was released in July of this year for the first time, and then 24-25 were released in August. As part of this review, we will examine the STAR and end-of-course assessment data, highlighting performance trends across the years. Accountability includes the data for students counted on the October snapshot date, and distinctions designations will be addressed. This is our Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District's rating for the last 3 years. We have maintained a C. For the elementary schools, these are half of them, and I would like to highlight Gilliland Elementary and Chisholm Ridge. They actually went from a D to a B in their accountability rating. And on this page, I would like to highlight Parkview. They went from a very low rating to a C, and it was a high C on their performance this school year. And then Willow Creek went from a C to a B for the 25 school year. Our middle schools, their accountability ratings were the same last year and this year. They were C's, and Creekview was maintained a B. Our high schools, Saginaw and Chisholm Trail went from a C to a B this year, and Watson maintained their A rating there, and Boswell maintained their B rating. The distinctions are given to campuses who perform in the top quartile of 40 schools that are compared to them that have a similar demographics, size, and population. Boswell this year got 3 distinction designations from Achievement in Social Studies, Post Readiness, and top 25% in their comparative Closing the Gap. And remember, Closing the Gap, those students have to perform at the MEETS level. They don't look at approaches. MEETS is the standard for that. Boswell in 23 got a top 25% also in Closing the Gap, and Chisholm Trail in 23 had comparative growth in the top 25%. Creekview Middle School has received numerous designations. This past year, they received 5 of the 7, and in 23 and 24, they received all of the designations that were there. 7 is the most you can get, and they got all 7 for those 2 years. The other middle schools in 2023 that received a distinction designation was Marine Creek, Highland, and Wayside Middle School. The elementary campuses this past year that received 1 distinction designation was Gilliland and Willow Creek. And if you remember, they went up 2 grade levels there, and Willow Creek in 23 received a distinction award. Eagle Mountain in 24 received a distinction designation, and then in 23, Bryson, High Country, and Saginaw Elementary also received an award there. Elementary school data. As you can see, this is comparing from 22 to 25. We'll highlight mainly the 2025. And you can see in the 3rd grade for reading and math, the percentage points that our students have gained, which is an improvement, and a gain from last year. In grade 4, in reading for approaches and meets, we stayed the same as last year. We went down 1% in masters. And for math in all 3 areas, we improved for 4th grade mathematics. In 5th grade, for reading, we stayed the same for approaches and went up in meets and masters for reading. In math, we went down somewhat in approaches and meets, and then went up 1% for masters in the math area. 5th grade science, we went up 3% in approaches and 1% in masters, and we stayed the same at the meets level. For middle schools, in 6th grade reading, we went down in all 3 areas. And for math, we went up in approaches and we stayed the same for meets and masters. In 7th grade reading, we stayed the same for approaches and masters, and we went down in the meets area. For math, we went down in all 3 areas just slightly from last year. For 8th grade reading, we went down in all 3 areas for approaches, meets, and masters. For math, we went down in approaches but went up in meets and masters performance. For science, in all 3 areas, approaches, meets, and masters, we increased our percentile score. In social studies, we went down in approaches and meets and stayed the same at masters. For our EOC scores in algebra, we went down. In approaches, we went up in meets and masters. In biology, we increased our percentile in approaches and meets and went down quite a bit in the masters area. English 1, we improved in approaches, but went down in meets and masters. English 2, we increased our score 6 percentage points in approaches, went down in meets, but went up in masters. U.S. history, we went down in approaches and meets, but we went up significantly in the masters area. Next, I'm going to compare the state and the district scores. And as you can see, we are below the state level in 3rd grade for language arts in all areas, approaches, meets, and masters for language arts and math. In 4th grade, we are below the state average for language arts and math in all 3 areas, approaches, meets, and masters. In the 5th grade, language arts, math, and science, we are below the state level in approaches, meets, and masters. And we particularly have concerns in the science area. In 6th grade, language arts and math, we are below the state average, except for masters in math, we met the same standard where the state is. For 7th grade, language arts, we are at the approaches level, we're the same as the state, 1 percentile below in meets and masters, but in math, we are below the state. And if you'll remember, this is the one that some folks test all of their 7th graders on 7th grade STAR. Remember, some of our students take the 8th grade STAR test that are in the advanced classes. And then for language arts, math, science, and social studies in the 8th grade, language arts, we're at language arts and math, we're at the state level in approaches, above the state level for meets and masters for math, and science and social studies, we're a little bit below the state level there. For the high school EOCs, algebra, we're a bit below the state level in all areas. Biology, approaches is the same. Meets and masters, we're below the state level. But in U.S. history, we're above the state level in approaches, meets, and masters. English 1, we're above the state level in approaches, meets, and masters. And English 2, we're above the state level in approaches and meets, a little bit below the state level in masters. And then Closing the Gap always has campuses identified for support under Every Student Succeeds Act. This year, we have 2 comprehensive support and improvement schools, Northbrook Elementary and Saginaw Elementary. And you'll get more information after a while when Ms. Sanders talks about what we're doing there. We had 2 schools that were on the list last year, and you stay on the list for 2 years in a row. Both of our schools have made progress, so now they're considered to be in the comprehensive support and improvement progress schools. And if you'll remember, Parkview made significant growth in their scores. They got a C, and it was a higher C. So we're real pleased there. And High Country did make progress, not quite as substantial as Parkview. Additional targeted support and improvement schools are Comanche Springs, Elkins, and Remington Point. And then targeted support and improvement schools this year are Bryson, Copper Creek, Ed Wilkie, and Prairie Vista.
What made them go on either of those lists? What was the criteria to land on either of those lists?
Okay, the criteria for additional targeted, these schools have to have for 3 years in a row in the same area, not performing at the state required standard. And if you'll remember, comprehensive, closing the gap has a different threshold for every subpopulation. One might be 65, another subgroup for the same thing will be a 50-something. Those are made up numbers. I don't have the exact numbers. But 3 years in a row, if I'm in math and I don't perform well, and reading and don't perform well, they will get on a list. And it has to be consecutive, okay? And then that's for targeted support. And that can be your ethnic group, or it can be also your special ed group, anybody who's in your high focus group. Now, the additional targeted group, you get on that list because you were on this targeted list and you're on the bottom 5% of that list. That's how you get on the additional targeted list. Very complex. It's not quick and easy, I promise.
Formulas.
So what happens when they're on the targeted? I mean, we saw in our elementary schools some improvement once, they got on a list like that.
That's exactly what Ms. Sanders will address here shortly.
Yeah.
We'll see.
In addition, I think that high level of concern sometimes also on the campus gets us a little bit higher performance from students, teachers, and parents. And I'm going to kind of give you some big, bold initiatives we're doing, and then Ms. Sanders is going to go into it in a little bit more depth. So instructional support, dedicated time for lesson internalization in ELAR and SLAR, math and science at our elementary school. Coaching support through Engage to Learn for Amplify Texas curriculum implementation, and that's been ongoing since the summertime. In science, there's access to materials and resources for hands-on elementary science lab where instructional materials, where the departments are making sure they have those on the campuses for all of the teachers that teach science. And then for math curriculum, implementation of the Bluebonnet Texas across K-8 math classroom, and then the rollout of the LASSO Part C in partnership with Great Minds, and it's supported by the Carnegie Strong Foundation's implementation grant. And then also the district focus on student attendance. You can't learn if you're not there. And so those are some of the major initiatives that we're doing, along with, some of the other things that Ms. Sanders will review in a minute.
Questions, comments?
I mean, I guess I'll just comment the thing that.
I'm going to have some, but I'm last, so go ahead.
I was just going to comment. I know we have issues with the test. I know there's a lot of complexities there that we've talked about many times in this meeting. But I think the thing that's most concerning to me is the state comparison, because we're all up against the same barriers on the test, and still we're not, where we would expect to, or where we have been in the past. I know we've got a lot of things in place, and we're anxious to see how everything that we're doing with our new curriculum, all rolls into improved metrics, but that is concerning.
Well, I thought we also could compare either against our peer group or region. You just had state here. Is that?
I can provide you. I can.
Because
the state's usually the state and the region are very similar.
They are similar.
Yeah,
okay, I couldn't remember how close they were.
Yeah.
What about our own?
I'll provide that for you.
That would be good information. Yeah.
Yeah, and our peer group, aren't we in a peer group ourselves? That
every school has their own peer group.
Right. So can we compare our scores to our peer group?
The campuses have been comparing themselves to their peer groups.
You're saying it's different for every campus?
Every campus is different. Like a Gilliland is going to be different than an Eagle Mountain.
Right.
And they have been looking because many of them are at the lower end of their peer group, and they want to know what the other schools are doing. And many of them have already contacted those schools. Some of them are going to visit some of those schools. Some of them have called and talked to the schools, have done research. So all of the campuses, I say all, many of the campuses I have talked to have already taken that step to see what's going on there.
Will we get a report out on that, on what they found and?
Absolutely, we can provide that information to you. A lot of the things that you're going to hear that the higher performing schools are doing are many of the things that we're putting into place. It's a commitment to collaborative teaming, to having time for teachers to internalize and understand the lessons. That's a significant shift, especially in our new Amplify Texas that we're using for ELAR and SLAR, and what we're using for math in Bluebonnet Texas. The teachers who are teaching math and reading, particularly in those curricular areas, they don't create lessons. They're charged with understanding the lessons so that they're able to present them, deliver them, put their own spin on them. And so that's a big shift from the way it was when Dr. Tolbert and I started teaching, where we just created our lessons based upon a rough framework. And what that led to back then was a lot of variability. And y'all know that was the case when all of us were in school, because, Ms. Tolbert and Mr. Hollingsworth taught the same subject, and you saw your schedule and you said, oh man, I got Tolbert, she's awesome. And then Mabry looked at his and go, got Hollingsworth, okay? They taught the same stuff, right? But there was great variability in how it is that they were taught. What our goal is to reduce that variability so that regardless of whether a child's in a third grade classroom at Lake Point, or if she's in a third grade classroom at Northbrook or wherever she may be, that she's guaranteed to get great instruction. And so that's a lot of what you're going to learn, but it's a lot about teaming and providing that time and that support.
As we go through the night here and go into the scorecard, some of these goals are specifically addressed that we're going to be tracking over the next.
Absolutely. And yes or no, and I'm glad you did, because what you're going to see too is we're going to adopt our balanced scorecard for the district, and then there is a scorecard that is unique to each campus. They have their own cascaded column because the response of how we grow every student at Saginaw High School looks different than how I grow every student at Eagle Mountain Elementary School. So you'll see those differences in that cascaded column. Great question. Thank you for that.
Other questions? I have a couple of comments. So, surprise, surprise.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I want to first of all congratulate Chisholm Ridge, Gillett, Parkview, and Willow Creek for they made significant gains. So, I think that's something that we definitely should note. Of course, we all don't want the scores where they are, but I will tell you, based on, as y'all all know, curriculum and pedagogy and all that are my things. And so I asked Dr. Hollingsworth for the map information, because I was like, okay, the STAR scores are one thing, but I want to know the map, which is the growth areas, right? So they took a test in September, I guess, last year, in January, and then at the end of the year. And so that's why he asked y'all to provide that in the board report. So then I plugged it into an analysis. And so this is not where we want to be, but I think that these are things we should at least celebrate and say, because first grade in this, it showed that 63% of students showed average to above average growth. Now, we want that to be 80 or 90, but 63 is not 27, right? Second grade did 55%. Third grade had the biggest growth at 70%. Because that's that's the thing I'm most, the STAR score, I know we have to do it, I know, but the growth of students, how are they doing overall? Fourth grade was almost at 50%, fifth grade was at 53%. District-wide, 62% of students averaged to high performance in math. And in reading, 64% of students scored average to high in reading. Third grade was the highest growth. And let me see if I have everything else I want to show you. District-wide, I think I already said this, 62% was average to above average across the district. So it's not all doom and gloom, right? I mean, our kids are making progress, and I'm confident that with these new the curriculums, and that we have that rigorous, everybody's on the same page, doing the same thing, that these numbers will only get better and that our MAP scores will continue to improve. This time next year will be much higher than this.
Are the maps trapped anywhere else besides our district? Like, can you compare the map?
I don't know if those are open to anybody or not. That would be something we'd have to ask.
You
I'm
can
sure-
certainly see how we compare on a national level, because MAP is
Yeah, MAP.
is
Yeah, maybe on a
administered
national level.
nationwide, absolutely. And so we
Because
can
everybody doesn't use
certainly
it.
provide those comparisons.
Okay.
And I will echo Dr. Tolbert. The thing I'm most proud of is our principals, our teachers, the work that they're doing, our team here at central office, the way that our curriculum and instruction department have rallied around our folks on campuses. A lot of really good work. People are working really hard to be in classrooms, to provide regular feedback to teachers on progress. And it's hard. We remind folks, it's a marathon, not a sprint. This will take a while to really begin to see the results of the hard work, but I'm super proud of the consistency that we're seeing in the efforts from our folks.
Yeah, and that's all I wanted to say is just, I mean, I know that we all want the scores to be better. Every teacher in this district, I know, wants the scores to be better. But it's, they're still doing a lot of good work, and we,
no doubt,
as I say, we see you, we hear you, and we support you. So keep up the good fight.
Thank you.
Dr. Jones, thank you.
Too, we talked about, this is one read
Sure.
of what we're doing for kids. This is one read on one day.
That's right.
For those kids, right? And I just, again, I'm not saying it doesn't matter. It does matter. There's a lot of things that do matter of how we're educating
The whole
every
child.
student every year, but the whole child. This is a real linear deal. I look at it way more spherically.
But thank you for the reports. They're great.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Okay, Mrs. Epps, you're here to tell us about the transfer report.
Good
And you
evening,
have
Dr.
a,
Tolbert.
you have, I'm sorry, you have a different report at your desk.
Thank you.
An updated report.
Good evening, Dr. Tolbert and Dr. Hollingsworth and members of the board. I am presenting a report on transfers for the fall semester 25-26. The transfer window opened in February, on February 3rd, and closed on March 14th. An additional window was opened in May and June for our new hires and any families that might have missed the window. And then an additional opportunity was offered on request for transfers based on the change that was made by board policy in July. The transfer request applications are submitted in Skyward Family Access, just like our student enrollment forms are submitted there. And board policies and local policies do guide the regulations for transfers. A few key points to note are that our policy states that non-resident transfers are exclusively for employees of EMS and Gold Star. We do get calls frequently from outside entities, parents that would love to come join us, and I very sadly have to tell them that we don't do that. We do have also policies for attendance, tardiness, discipline actions, and campus staffing and facility capacity. Those are reasons that transfers could be denied or revoked. So as of September 15th of this year, we had reviewed 890 transfer requests for the fall semester. And each of those parents received an email, and potentially multiple emails and multiple phone calls were made to those 890 parents. This graph is indicating the transfers, not only that were just granted during this semester, but that currently exist on each campus. So our elementary campuses currently have 643 transfers. And our secondary campuses, middle schools have 258 transfers. And our high schools.
This is total. This is not new transfers.
Correct. These are.
You were a transfer, but still on that campus. This is how many.
Yes, because it is important to note that our non-resident employees are required to reapply every year. And so that does increase those numbers versus just new transfers.
So how many of them were new, you said Gold Star, so the bus driver?
They are considered as employees under this policy.
Or of the district?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. So the graph indicates not only transfers granted during this last period, but total transfers on the campus at the time. A resident in-district transfer can continue if the student is in good standing with attendance, tardies, and discipline, and there's still space on the campus until that grade level is completed at that building. So only our out-of-district, non-resident employees are having to reapply every year. If you're in good standing on your campus, you continue until that level of that building ends. So at 6th grade and in 9th grade, they would need to reapply. So the district currently has a total of 1,268 transfers. 928 of those are in-district transfers and 286 are out-of-district. Those would be employee transfers. And when considering all 890 of those applications submitted for the fall, 492 were employees and 366 were parents. Active military and police officers do have another portion of Texas Education Code that allows them to request a transfer. Those were 32. And the approval rate was 96%, and 38 transfers were denied. In looking at those 38 and just auditing why that might have occurred, there's 38 were denied. For a large number were for excessive absences, tardiness, or discipline. Several had placements to the DAP, the Discipline Alternative Placement Campus. And when I say significant, I'm talking about in a range of 30 to 70 tardies, 20 or more absences. When we consider that state defines chronic absenteeism at 10 or more, these people were well beyond that. Because we don't provide transportation for a transfer, if they're already struggling on their home campus, then that negates their ability to be considered for a transfer. So we do encourage parents and students that are faced with attendance or behavior issues to work on that and collaborate with their campuses so they could potentially be eligible in the future. I have revoked 2 transfers so far this fall for discipline issues. Do y'all have any questions?
If they're tardy, though, if they can't get to this transfer that they requested, that would be another reason.
They receive a warning after a certain number, then they can be revoked by the campus if it continues. Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments?
On some of these, see, we've got some campuses that are crowded, but we do have transfers approved. I guess maybe those might be employees or things.
They could be continuing transfers, but like I said, once they're there and they're in good standing, they are allowed to maintain. And so in listening to the demographer's numbers, I was also looking at the numbers, I know you were too, just to say, is that the offset? It is a little bit. You can see Eagle Mountain High School has the most requested. They had the most requested in the district, which the demographer did point out. New school draws new people. Of course, if they had the most, they also have the most that were probably denied just by nature.
Sure. Any other questions or comments? And my apologies, that one that's at your desk just goes in your routine reports, page 273. So. Okay. Yeah, just so, yeah, I just looked at it wrong. I know, for a second, I know. I apologize. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Beth.
Okay, thank you, Beth, so much. Okay, now we have the comprehensive campus targeted improvement plans for Northbrook, Saginaw, Parkview, and High Country.
So happy.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Walk up with a smile.
She does.
I'm proud of our schools. I'm
You should
excited
be.
to talk about what we're doing to serve our kids. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about this evening, specifically our comprehensive campus targeted improvement plans. I'm presenting them to you this evening, and you do have attachments with the specific plans for the 4 campuses. Those would be Northbrook Elementary and Saginaw Elementary, which are year 1. And as Dr. Jones mentioned earlier, you do maintain that rating for 2 consecutive years. That's required by the comprehensive campus designation. And then we have Parkview Elementary and High Country Elementary, who are both comprehensive progressing. And so they're in year 2, and in year 2, if you've made adequate progress the year before, you're given the progressing designation, and then we fully anticipate that they will fall off of the comprehensive list for next year.
If they stay on there for so many years, that's
Then
when
you
have the Fortized D and Houstonized D.
Yeah, you would go into what's called a turnaround plan, and we don't expect.
We're not going to go there.
No, we're not going to go there, but what is the
But-
rule? 3? You said 5? That'd be their 5 consecutive years? Okay.
At 3 years,
3,
you
get
would, if you drop from progressing back to comprehensive year 1, then basically you're going to start your turnaround plan, and then it's multiple years of the turnaround plan, and then it could go into other more, TEA could take other
I
actions.
don't want it to go to 5. That's just.
No, I'm just saying.
We're not going to 5.
We hope not. We hope we don't,
No,
there-
we're
we,
not.
we feel, we
We're
don't
not.
hope,
We're not.
though. We know we're not because we're feeling good about our plan. I will tell you, last year we did have, our High Country and Parkview both made progress. And our Chisholm Ridge and Gilliland were targeted last year, and they're the ones that made significant growth. This past year, 2 of the campuses that made significant growth. I'm really proud of that, and we feel like the plan that we have in place to support the needs of our targeted campuses are really, it's a strong plan, and we're scaling that up and out to all of our other campuses so that we don't have campuses coming on and off of the targeted list in the future. So that's one of our goals, is to just move everybody off of it and keep everybody off of it. So we are going to talk about our comprehensive campuses and what their plans look like this evening. The Targeted Improvement Plan is the plan that goes along with the comprehensive campuses. Our targeted campuses have a plan called a Local Improvement Plan, and that is just an addendum to their Campus Improvement Plan. This plan is more comprehensive, and it does require approval from our board. It is required by TEA, and it is based on federal accountability. It is monitored by the district coordinator of school improvement, which is me. I take on that role. And it is managed and implemented by the campus principals. And that would be Melissa Curtis at Saginaw, Heather Smith at Northbrook, Kathleen Wilby at High Country, and Jane McGuire at Parkview. It is implemented in addition to the campus improvement plan, so it will be added in the addendums for their campus improvement plan after it's been approved by the board, and it is reported in a public meeting to every campus. So at this point, as of this evening, every campus has had a public meeting where they have shared their targeted improvement plan draft with their community, and they've given an opportunity for feedback and input on the plan. And then they bring that back in and they revise as needed or look at areas where they can take specific actions. They may add those that specificity to the actual targeted plan or to their campus improvement plan, depending on where it falls best in the actions that they're taking.
Was this a specially called community meeting that was communicated out to the parents, or?
Yes, it was communicated out to parents. It's usually done in conjunction with another event so that parents are coming up for other things. Okay. Many of them did that in conjunction with their Title I meeting. All of the 4 of these campuses are Title I campuses. And so they have to do a meeting every year where they talk about what Title I is, how they use their funding, and those kind of things. And so they do it in conjunction with that. They do post a notice, and they do send out in Parent Square this year a notice of the public meeting.
You know how well they were attended?
I do not know, but I can find out for you and send it in the board report, board update.
Thanks.
And they are submitted to TEA in November, so we are presenting them to you this evening. We'll be bringing them back for approval in our October meeting, and we will be submitting them to the state in November. Last year, our timeline was a little later. The state moved that up this year. So last year, we presented them to you about a month later than we have this year, so they moved it up.
They rarely have questions on them, would you say? You said the state has to approve them once we approve them and you submit them?
We submit them to the state, and then I do a presentation to TEA, to the person who monitors our plans regarding our progress during the year. And then we submit an update in June. So our targeted improvement plans, we have an instructional improvement focus, and that is implementation of a rigorous, high quality, Tier 1 instructional materials, which in this year includes Bluebonnet Math and Amplified Texas English Language Arts. And we are tailoring that to the needs of our campuses through coaching, observation feedback cycles, internalization, and professional learning community supports. The essential action steps that we're taking for our Year 1 campuses will be for August 2025 to May 2026. And our Year 2 campuses should complete their plans in May 2020. Said that wrong. I say it wrong every time. Our Year 1 campuses are through May of 2027, and our Year 2 campuses should finish in May of 2026. We have applied for a Learning Acceleration Support Opportunities Grant, or LASSO grant. We did receive 2 LASSO grants this year. Dr. Jones mentioned them earlier. One is a Strong Foundations Implementation Grant, which we are in partnership with Engage to Learn and Carnegie to support the implementation of Bluebonnet through that grant. We also have an instructional leadership grant that falls under LASSO, and that's our partnership with Engage to Learn, where they are supporting our principals and campuses with coaching, observation feedback cycles, support with internalization, and our professional learning communities. We have instructional leadership, our instructional leadership teams at each of the 4 campuses attend a Region 11 comprehensive campus training, and I attended that with them earlier this month. We have our Effective Schools Framework Diagnostic for Northbrook and Saginaw. High Country and Parkview had those last year, and they're provided by Region 11, and they come and walk the campuses with us, and we do a rubric for high-functioning campuses, the Effective Schools Framework. Our focus area is rigorous Tier 1 instruction. Our instructional leadership coaching with Engage to Learn focuses, as I mentioned before, on observation feedback cycles, instruction and instructional supervision. Also, I am meeting weekly to look at data with our principals. And then also on those campus visits, we are doing classroom walks with implementation focus. I am sitting in on PLCs, internalization, and data meetings with staff as we get data in and we look at those pieces. So that is the majority of our plan. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them now.
Questions?
So with the targeted schools, we end up there because of state guidelines, not meeting state guidelines. But then if I'm hearing you right, then the state, which I think you're doing a great job, what you're showing, but the state doesn't then say, you need to implement these things. You implement things that we need to support the campus however you feel is best, and then you have to sit down with the state and they approve of that or monitor that, or
they accept our plan. I wouldn't really say that they approve it. They accept our plan once we get it approved by the board, and then we report on our progress.
Is there any input from the state? Is the state ever say, if they accept your plan, did they ever say, well, I don't accept that plan, or we think you can do more, or we think?
I have not received any feedback of that nature. However, I will say they do strongly encourage certain components, and I don't disagree with what they've encouraged. One being a consistent, high-quality instructional material like Bluebonnet Math and Amplify Reading. I do feel like, just notably, High Country, Parkview, Gilliland, and Chisholm Ridge all were early adopters of Bluebonnet last year and implemented it within what we considered our pilot. And then all of our campuses after, in the last grading period last year, did start the soft launch of Amplify Texas and Bluebonnet. And I do feel like that consistency and the quality, the rigor of the instruction was, there were no surprises with that. So we do feel like that made an impact. The Effective Schools Framework is a very detailed rubric of the different components of an effective school that TEA has worked on for many years and refined with feedback from educators and the experts at TEA that are educators. And I think that is a great way for you to have someone come in with a fresh look at your campus and give you feedback on things that you can improve. And our principals are very open, and they want to know, what do people see and how can we improve and what can we do better, and strengthening their leadership on the campus. And the Effective Schools Framework has really done that. Some of our really more high-performing campuses in our district have also just taken that on, the Effective Schools Framework on their own, because it is a quality indicator for an effective school. And so we really are focusing on those two things specifically.
Back one slide, if you can.
Absolutely.
I'm just curious about the second little bullet. Instructional leadership team attend the comprehensive campus training. So yes. You and the 4 principals attended that together. I'm curious about that.
Each campus brought their leadership team representatives. So each of the 4 principals, and then they brought with them their math and their reading coaches to the training with Region 11, where they walk through how your campus, rating puts you on this list, exactly what they recommend as far as what the plan looks like, what's required by the state to report, and what the plans look like, and those kind of things. And then I go with them. I am their support.
Very comprehensive.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Beth. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Beth.
Okay, next we have the instructional planning calendar. Ms. Holloway, you lucky dog.
I heard you guys would say that. So Dr. Tolbert, Dr. Hollingsworth, members of the board, today I'm here to report to you the timeline for the 2026-2027 instructional calendar. And so, as you know, as part of our strategic goals, we collect feedback from our community through our district planning and advisory committee, and that allows us to build a calendar that meets the instructional needs of our students. And so once we develop a calendar, we present that to our leadership team here, and then we bring it to you for final approval. Last week, I met with the DPAC committee, and we asked for feedback from them. I've started gathering that and combining that all together. We did make sure that they knew that it was feedback and that we would take all of that information, but in the end, we reiterated that it was important that they understand that our board would be the ones to approve a calendar. Today, I'm presenting to you a timeline for the 26-27 calendar. This week on Thursday, on the 25th, I will take a draft of the calendar to our leadership team for them to review. And then on November the 19th, I will present that back to DPAC and ask again for some feedback and get some information from them. Then on the 20th, I will present that to you so that you can give us feedback, ask any questions that you have. And then on the 15th of December, we're going to go ahead and once we present that to you on the 15th of December, we'll turn around and we'll present it back to you once we've made those adjustments that you've inquired about or suggested on the 20th and ask for your approval. So again, please know that we will appreciate any feedback from you throughout the process, and you guys can share it with me.
I love the calendar. They won't ever let me be on the calendar committee. I don't know why. I just ask that you start after Labor Day and finish before Memorial Day.
Oh, wow.
You got it. We're going to work on
That's
that.
the way. I can do that.
how many
calendar for you.
Saturdays are we
Not,
doing?
yeah, I was gonna say, not gonna happen unless you don't have breaks. No breaks.
No
Yeah.
breaks.
No.
Just like
Okay.
the business world.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Okay, Mr. Rob Welch, we're here for the finance report. Where is he?
Please come.
Well, good evening, President Tolbert, Dr. Hollingsworth, members of the board. We have a little update for our fiscal year start date change. As a quick reminder, and I'll go through this, y'all have seen some of these pieces before, but going back into in March, where we talked about where we sit right now, fiscal year September 1 through August 31st. The change would move us to a July 1 to June 30th fiscal year, and that adjustment would net us about a $12 to $16 million increase, one-time increase to our fund balance. The actual first year or first date that we would incorporate that change would be the 2026-2027 school year with that July 1 start date. A couple of the pieces that we put together is kind of looking at historical trends. We generated, to generate that estimate, here are some of the areas that we identified as potential savings as well as adjustments to revenue for those 2 months at the end of the 2025-2026 school year. And then an example of how those funds would be utilized. And so what would happen is you see here over on the left column, that light orange $12 to $16 million gets shown as savings in the 2025-2026 school year, goes into fund balance, and then we're able to pull chunks of that out in future years to fund, in this case, the increase in cost due to lowering staffing ratios, and so being able to fund that in future years. by reallocating, putting that money back and reallocating, pulling it out of fund balance and utilizing it in future years. There's a lot of considerations, and, this has been on the table for a number of years as, something that's sitting out there that for Eagle Mountain Saginaw, there's advantages to it. Here is, obviously we have the opportunity to provide that one-time increase to fund balance. And also the other good thing is that it does allow us to get that, those budgets released and in the hands of our departments July 1, well before the start of school.
It started after Labor Day.
Then we're back and we're fixed. Yes.
Yet another argument.
And then, the disadvantages is that, moving things up in the process, there's a little more variable in understanding what the outcomes may be, whether we're in a legislative year or just even understanding of where we sit in the for property values in the process. And again, why did we want to make this change now? A lot of it has to do with, we've got a lot of great things going on in the way of implementing that new curriculum, and the staffing ratio is going to help do that, and being able to fund that. And I was obviously working through challenges in state funding, and so this is a time to help adjust and keep that fund balance where we need to keep it over future years. Here's the piece that as we have evolved from that time back in March when we made this decision, we spent a little bit extra time and, planning. And so just pointing out some things so that everybody understands the expectations of what they'll see. Really, most employees are not going to be impacted by this new fiscal year change. It's just not going to change their daily activities. But we'll do some things in the business office. It's really, most of it is just us doing more accounting in that transition year. So most of it's going to happen within the business office accounting staff.
That first bullet,
I'm
going to tell you that first bullet.
Yeah, I had the same thing.
What's that?
Steve and I always have the same.
That first bullet was really born out of rumors that some had heard that this means that I'd get 2 paychecks for a couple of months. And that is not true. And so it does not impact the number of paychecks you get. And so that is one of the main drivers as to why we added that particular bullet. Is there any other reason, Rob?
Well, there's uncertainty of, well, how am I going to budget? How am I going to look at things? And really, you're still doing a 12-month budget. Mm-hmm. And so just clarifying that everything's still based off of 12 months. And so it's not
They're on a contract that runs, so there shouldn't be much confusion. Your contract hasn't changed as a
Correct.
teacher. And when you get your paycheck, your stub is still going to be a calendar year accounting, right?
It'll be fiscal year and a calendar year accounting.
Yeah.
But the calendar year is still going to show and tie to your W-2.
On your W-2.
And W-2 is still going to be the same rough amount, based off of, whatever your salary is. It's still going to, there's not going to be an extra amount throughout the year.
So what's an example of an employee that will be?
Well, that was going to be my question. Who will be impacted?
I didn't think any, other than that. there might be
Jane and
change in the work.
Jane and Doug are implemented. I mean, they're
The work that
impacted.
they
Yeah,
do,
the people
but
who are
nothing
doing the
about-
work.
Nothing about
Correct.
them being an employee, about how they're.
It has
employed.
nothing to do with their
They just
compensation.
mean-
It's
They just
just-
may have to do some additional accounting.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to get a different paycheck, nobody's going to get different pay, a different start date,
Yes,
any
ma'am.
of that.
Principals will have to do their budgets sooner. They have to come in and meet and have their staffing meetings earlier.
Exactly.
If you're in charge of a budget, that will impact your timeline in which you've been accustomed to preparing your budget. That's what we mean by most are not even going to notice that. But if you're teaching algebra at Boswell High School, you're just not going to really notice any difference other than the fact your department chair can get you Post-it notes sooner.
Yes.
I mean, that's.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think that first bullet point was we were thinking
Negative.
negative employee
Yeah.
reaction. You're just talking about work.
Workload.
and-
Yeah.
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 You'll
No-
just do it a month earlier.
Yeah.
So, and I assume we would
2
still
months.
have, like, for teachers, new teachers, whatever, a new teacher's district, like a 13-month option.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Change that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, payroll dates, the processing, really, they'll see really no changes in in that because it's still a September through August payment cycle for our teachers. Aligns them with, keeping them aligned with their, like Mr. Newcomb mentioned, their contract dates and then also the TRS reporting year for them.
So do they, you said September to start, what about August?
So.
Oh, they get paid September for August?
Yes.
Is that,
Yes.
they're always a month behind?
Yep, they.
So here's one people might care about.
That's why you do the 13-month
We have a date
option.
that
If
we
you're new to the
implement
district,
any
you can
salary
work
action
2
we take
months
today.
before you
That
get
date
checked.
doesn't
Before you
change
check.
even in the
So you have
fiscal
the
year.
option to divide it 13 ways. and get
Hold
it.
on, we got two
Okay, sorry.
conversations going on here, hold on.
Say
ahead.
that again?
Go ahead.
I was explaining the 13.
He was telling me about the 13-month option.
So here's one people might care about. So we're going to approve the budget earlier and say there's a raise next year. Does that go into effect the same anniversary date it always went into effect, even though the budget is a
It
year?
would go in effect and on September 20th is the first
The
time
same way
I
it
would
always
see
does. So
my
it
new.
doesn't change
As
just because
a-
we
correct.
set the budget earlier, it still has the
Correct.
same
That's
effective
correct.
annual date as it always
Yes,
has.
ma'am.
Yes.
And so August 20th, I'm still receiving my last paycheck from the previous year. That's right.
For teachers that
Correct.
run on that scale,
Yeah.
that cycle. If there are other groups that start in July or August, their cycles don't change either. So,
Great
Most of
question.
the people that will be doing the budget 2 months earlier, are they on 180, they're on a full 182-day contract?
or most of them are going to be in that
220.
year-round timeframe.
Okay.
And so that
220 or 240, right?
they'll be moved up into the process. If there is somebody that's off contract during the summer,
It helps with
it
that, or
will,
does it?
yeah, that process is actually going to be earlier in the year for them, so.
Okay.
Yeah, because the way you do it today, it's built up. So they weren't doing it in July anyway. They were doing it and passing it on to you to build up an
Absolutely.
entire budget. So.
Yes, but all that does shift forward.
Shift forward.
Yes. The key piece that kind of limits it is that we get a demographer report at the beginning of December, and that's what kind of starts our staffing processes and our budgeting processes. And so where that has typically taken off in January and February, that's going to key off of, as soon as we get those reports in December, we're going to be running.
Here we go. That's right.
Yeah.
Completed steps, Rob?
So, board approved the fiscal year change back in March. TEA confirmed that for us on August 20th. And then the board adopted the 12-month budget for the 25-26 school year. What will happen now is, like we just talked about, we have to move our staffing and budgeting processes up approximately 2 months, in some cases only a month, but overall it moves up. The other thing is that that's a major step for us is that there will be a reprogramming of our Skyward system to completely shift everything over to the fiscal year. And we'll have a little shutdown period during our July shutdown so we can let them do some major rebuilding. So there are steps that we've already started in prepping and planning for that, but the real work of that starts in January with the vendor. And so we'll be working through that. And then, we're working towards that June 15th regular board meeting where the board will again adopt a budget of 12 months for that 2026-2027 school year that begins July 1, 2026. We'll also, at that point, assign the anticipated net fund balance savings from the process. We'll have to do that at that meeting as well
that
to
year by
assign
year?
that fund balance.
Year by year, we'll do that?
We'll do that year by year.
Okay.
And so, and then we'll be completing the 2025-2026 audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, which will be a 10-month reporting year for that year. We're going to cut it short for reporting purposes to build our audit in the financial statements, but then TEA still requires a 12-month reporting of expenses. So we'll basically do a whole other year-end close at the end of August in this transition.
Do both of them have to be audited?
No, the second one does not have to be audited in order to report to TEA. So anyways, any questions on?
Any
fiscal
other
year?
questions or comments? Thank you so much, Rob. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Rob.
With the
Thank you.
board's permission, we are signaling for a 5-minute break.
Sure.
Is that okay?
It's great.
Okay. Take a quick break and come back at 8:33, 8:35, let's say.
8:35, got it, ma'am.
That concludes all of our reports to the superintendent, so we'll go right into our action items. And the first one is to appoint a 2025-2026 board naming committee. Our committee last year were Tim Daughtry, myself, and William Bowes. And because that naming committee has several things kind of on the burner that we're trying to complete, Mr. Bowes would like to remain on it. I would like to remain on it until we get those things settled. And Mr. Newcomb has agreed to be on that. So that's who I would like to make a motion to appoint: Steve Newcomb, Marilyn Tolbert, and William Bowes, the board naming committee for the 25-26 school year. Okay, so motion by Marilyn, second by Paige. All in favor? Anybody opposed? You opposed?
No, I'm not opposed, sorry, I got up late. I wanted to be honest, but it's okay. If Steve does.
He has expressed interest the last couple of years, but we're,
Yeah, well, I know you have, but we really have we have several things that are in the pipe right now. And so that was the reason and Steve has the history. So when I go off, I thought it would be important for Steve to stay on. So I would complete this year because we have like all these things, logos, and a lot of things that we're in the middle of, rather than somebody else starting. And then, that will be up for the next year. But you can oppose it.
I'm not.
All in favor? Anybody opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, thank you. And it hasn't gone unnoticed. I know, just give us time to finish what we're doing. Okay, the next one, we have an action item, Dr. Behringer. And you do have, I am right on this one, you do have a new report at your place.
You do. Madam President, Dr. Hollingsworth, if you all recall, last month I brought to you the balanced scorecard that will govern the work that we're going to do over the course of the next 4 years. There are some measurements that you see in there. Also, if you recall, when we discussed it last month, there are 2 columns that we are asking you to consider to approve. And it will be the one on the far left, which is the strategic objective, then also what the lag measures are on the far right. And as you go through each of the 4 priorities, we have those that are, each committee has done work to establish those strategic objectives, but most importantly, the lag measures.
And just for clarification, Dr. Behringer, we're also approving those 4 priorities. So it's the 4 priorities, the district objectives, and then those long-term measures.
Unequivocally.
That's right. Yep.
Unequivocally. Right.
All 3 columns as we see them.
Yes.
No, you're not, okay, just to be clear.
Okay, because the suggested motion says one thing.
The suggested motion reads that the recommendation is to approve the priorities, strategic objectives, and long-term outcomes. So you're approving the top priority line, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then your district strategic objectives on the left-hand side, your long-term outcomes on the right-hand side.
And I think you just said we were going to wait on the long-term, but we are improving those tonight, long-term outcomes.
No, ma'am, you're not going to wait. I'm going to ask that you
See,
approve
you guys
those
aren't on the same page.
So,
Did you say something different?
He is. He's saying we're not approving.
No, he said we
long-term
are.
outcomes, and you're saying we are.
No, he
You
said
said we're not.
You said we are.
I said we are.
Say it again. We're approving
We
the
are.
long-term
I
outcomes.
am asking you to approve the strategic objectives, the lag measures on the far right, and then the 4 priorities.
The only thing you're not approving are the district key actions in the middle.
Correct.
That's the only thing we're not asking for approval.
Correct. Did I say something?
I move we approve the priority, strategic objectives, and long-term outcomes of the EMS ISD balanced scorecard.
Second.
Motion by Steve, second by Ron. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? Anybody opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, Mr. Mogan and Dr. Curran. Teacher incentive allotment.
Good evening, Dr. Tolbert, Dr. Hollingsworth, members of the board. We're back again off of our report item from last month, talk again about the teacher incentive pilot proposal. And Dr. Curran will get us started.
Good evening. So this is a slide that we previewed at last month's board meeting. This is a snapshot from 24-25, and it shows about how much money we spent on substitutes for teachers who were taking personal business leave. This is the month of October through May. We spent close to $1.1 million on substitute teachers that were substituting for a teacher who was out on personal business leave.
What we've been able to update since last month's report item is the slide that has the purple row at the top for the 24-25 school year. So on average, we're budgeting and spending close to $3 million a year on substitutes. This has real life numbers from August of 24 through May of 25. And the expenditures there on that bottom row of $90,000 in August of 24. Keeping in mind that was half a month, going through May of 25 of $420,000. So those are real life numbers from the 24-25 school year. And those green numbers, the $1.35 million, are for the first semester total, through $1.44 million for the second semester, rounding out about $2.8 million in expenditures roughly in the 24-25 school year. So this is important because we have real life numbers from last school year that we can use as a predictor for this school year for the pilot.
So just a reminder about the eligibility for the pilot program and our incentive. This is for teachers whose positions require a substitute. And there are a few permitted absences, and that was going to be your school-related business, jury duty, subpoena, and military leave. And teachers are eligible for this incentive for each month they have perfect attendance per the eligibility criteria.
So again, our pilot dates that we're proposing would be October 1st through the end of the school year in May. And the potential payout per teacher will, again, vary from month to month, as we discussed last month. The numbers of teachers eligible for the payout will be impacted in how much money remains after the monthly substitute expenditures. So a couple of things that we tweaked off of your feedback from last month. Remember, we had two proposals, an A and a B, and an A was the preferred choice. The end of year drawing is another opportunity for eligible teachers to receive an additional payout. So we are proposing an end of year drawing, which you'll see here in just a couple of slides. The recommendation after we kind of toyed and talked through it with the business office is one end of year drawing. We feel like that's something that is possibly doable with what the numbers are showing. And the drawing date we're proposing will be in June, mid-June, and we can get all the eligibility teachers and the financing in for one end of year drawing. And for eligibility for that end of year drawing, we're proposing the teachers will need to have perfect attendance for at least 1 month in the fall semester, October through December, and at least 1 month in the spring semester, January through May, so that will help the numbers and the potential payout in that drawing at the end of the year. So this is based on the 24-25 numbers, the fall semester, October through December, what we're looking at for a potential monthly payout, and then also for the end of the year. And we project based on October of 24, if nothing changes, except that we could look at a number of a 20% additional decrease in the expenditure. So last year in October, we had a $270,000 expenditure. If this catches on early, we advertise, we have communication, and the teachers buy in, and we have an additional 20%. It could be 10%, it could be 25%. We're picking 20%. That could be $54,000 saved under that $300,000 monthly for that $3 million total. If we take 90% of that $54,000 for the payout, and the number of teachers last year that were eligible was 397 per the criteria that we have, that would be $122 payout per teacher. If we took 10% of that $54,000 and put that towards the end of the year drawing, while it doesn't look like much in this fall semester, you'll see the next slide in the spring, it starts to add up pretty quick. So really quick, actually what we saw in the numbers was the spring semester actually looked like it was more fruitful
than the fall semester was. We actually had predicted last month it was the opposite. So the spring looks like it could be really beneficial once this catches on.
So looking ahead to our spring semester, you'll see that we're continuing on with the 90-10 split for the payout from the money that we may be able to roll over. And then in the very last column where it says totals, we're predicting that according to the 20% change in sub-usage, that we could have about $25,800 in our end of year pot that the teachers could split from. So the number of eligible teachers, we're predicting about 4,500, and we would have 100 names drawn to be able to split. And then so of those 100 teachers whose names are drawn, they could have $258 that they would split.
They would split 4,500 to get $258 each.
No, of the 10% that we saved from all of the months from October until May, that 10% is going to accumulate. And so at the end of the year, we would have a $25,800 total amount. And we would draw 100 names out of those that met the eligibility criteria. We selected 4,500 is our estimate that we used from last year's numbers. So they would have that $25,800, and we would draw from those who met the eligibility criteria for the end of year drawing. We would draw 100 names, and they would split that end of year drawing pot between those 100 people.
These are all just estimates, and it's if we've got a good month and we have a lot of folks who come to work more regularly and don't use those substitute teachers, you can increase that pot. You increase the amount of money that we did not spend. And so we're kind of, I don't know, it's exciting to see what will actually result.
How did you decide on the just one perfect attendance month each semester as the threshold to get in the drawing?
We were trying to, that's a great question. We were trying to raise the payout potential at the end of the year instead of trying to pay out potentially thousands. We decided we were trying to make it where it was an incentive to have some keep people interested through the end of the year. So you got to have 1 month each month, but also trying to control a little bit of the amount so the payout would be a little higher. So, I mean, we're open to, that's what we settled on through a lot of discussion. So we're open to varying that up if we need to. But we're just trying to think of how we can kind of have some interest throughout the fall and spring semester. We settled on 100 because that seemed to be a decent payout amount. We just won't know in this pilot year until we go through and we have some basis, over the summer after we've gone through a year to kind of see what we need to tweak and change. This is fluid until we really get in there and see what feedback we're getting back from our teachers and staff, how it's working.
I move that we approve the 2025-2026 teacher attendance incentive pilot proposal as presented.
Second.
Motion by Ron, second by Blake. Any questions?
I do have a question. So October, using your formula that goes $100 and something per person, when do they get that in their next check?
That's what we're working. Yes, it will be at the next check, the end of that next month.
Okay.
That
so
next check.
November 20th, essentially.
So quick turnaround, but I believe that in working with Rob and his team, we'd be able to do that the end of the next month.
TSR?
Yes.
They will have to take it out?
Yes.
Can't get around that?
Well, it'd be subject to the taxes but it wouldn't necessarily be subject to your TRS deduction.
They would not be, that payout would not be eligible for TRS purposes.
That's what I was thinking.
Not be subject to TRS.
But it would be withholding for
taxes.
Yeah, for taxes. Yeah.
Taxes,
Yeah.
yes, not TRS.
Considered earnings for the IRS.
Can't get around the
Of course,
IRS.
that, I'm just trying to save them that, what is
Yeah.
it, 7.65
Yeah,
or
no.
whatever?
Right.
They can
Just
save
good.
that.
Because it's not creditable
Right.
compensation.
Right. Great. Other questions? Okay, so I have a motion by Ron, second by Blake. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Like sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you
We
all.
appreciate you. So at this time, on behalf of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD, I declare an open hearing on the 2024 School First Report. The hearing will be open to public comment after a brief report from Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Rob Welch.
Thank you once again, President Tolbert. As we bring to you each year, we bring our School First rating. This is the 2024-2025 rating. School First stands for the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas. It is administered by the Texas Education Agency. This rating is based on the 2023-2024 data. And then it's each year it comes at us with a 100-point maximum. 70 points is the minimum for passing. This year's rating is built off of 4 critical indicators, 7 ceiling indicators, and 11 scored indicators. EMS ISD score for 2024-2025 is 96, which is an A for superior achievement. Key points of the scoring analysis is that we did pass all 4 of the critical indicators, as well as the 7 ceiling indicators that would have limited our score. The critical indicators is an automatic fail. The ceiling indicators limit you to not getting above a B, C, or D. And so we passed all of those indicators. Everything else is showing overall strong performance compliance as well. There is, why can't we get to that perfect score? Well, that's because we're a fast growth district and we have to issue debt. And so we end up losing a few points there because of our debt ratio, but that's because we're having to issue debt to build buildings. I can tell you, there's a 4-point reduction. We're a lot closer to it being a 2-point reduction than a 6-point reduction. So it goes from, we're sitting at 4 points. We could either be at a 98 or a 94. We're a lot closer to the 98. But anyways, we are 96, which is a great score, and we have a great history there. The other piece that we always look at is the low administrative ratio cost for getting us full value in indicator 13. The minimum level there is an 8.5% is considered efficient. We actually come in well underneath that at 7.4%, and so we operate quite efficient, especially for a district our size in that rating. Again, just looking at our history, we show in this report 3 prior years, but I can tell you that this is the 6th year in a row that we've scored a 96 with a superior achievement rating of A. We also have other ratings, and just to reiterate where we stand and what we have out there available. Our first reports are on our website. We go back to the inception of the program back in 2013-14. Also, if you look at our audit reports, those are also available online. And we've had clean audit reports, again, going back to 2012-13 is what we have available out there for the public to review. And then we also, because we issue bonds, we meet with credit rating agencies regularly. We currently sit with Moody's at AA2 and S&P Global Ratings, AA-, and then Fitch Ratings with a AA. We've had the question of, well, what about the Comptroller program, the Transparency Star program? I can tell you, when this program was put into place many years ago, it's been over a decade since it was put into place. It has a lot of requirements. We don't participate in it because in order to get any stars, we have to post raw format data with detailed check register transactions, and that's just not a good idea in today's cyber fraud environment. School districts and institutions are being targeted with phishing schemes, very elaborate phishing schemes based off that data. And so we don't post that. It's just not valuable for us. But all the other information is there in all the postings that we have on the website, being our approved and proposed budget summaries. The annual debt transparency reports are great, tons of information in that, as well as the annual audit report. So we provide that same level of data, if not more. It's just not a good idea for us to go down that route. But if anybody wants that information, as far as our check registers, and that is available by public information request at any time. So with that concludes our report of the 2024-2025 first reading.
Thank you so much. At this time, any and all persons who wish to address the board on this matter are invited to come to the podium. Seeing none, I declare the public meeting on the 24-25 school first report is closed. However, please be advised that the report will be posted on the district website for further public review. And since the board is not required to take action on this item, we'll proceed with the regular agenda. So Mr. Welch, you're still up.
I just knew Jane was going to come up and
I
say
know,
something about it.
but she didn't.
I would like to point out that rating, it is a very successful
Yes,
piece
it
for
is.
this school district.
Congratulations.
But it is
Great
something,
work.
it's the work of tons of people throughout the organization, and we appreciate all their hard work to.
Absolutely. It's something we should be very proud of because not every district has that. So thank you, Rob, to you and your team. Please make sure that they all hear that we are as proud of it as you are. So
It is definitely
puts us in a
team
very
effort.
great,
They're
yeah, responsible
amazing.
and transparent. Yeah. Okay, so now you are still up for nominations for the TAD board.
Okay. Well, I will.
And you do have a new piece of paper at your
Yes, I do
table.
provide you some information. You have before you, and I think that you've received multiple biographical data for potential nominees. And so the Tarrant Appraisal District Board has 2 positions up for appointment to serve the 2026, 2027 fiscal or calendar years. And with that, those are currently occupied by Wendy Burgess and Mike Alfred. We have we've seen multiple resumes or biographical data tonight. I would like to make a recommendation that as we look at being able to provide 2 nominations tonight, individuals that I believe would represent the shared philosophies for the purpose and objective function of the appraisal district and throughout the taxation process. I believe those individuals would be Wendy Burgess, who's a current member of the TAD Board of Directors, and then I'd also like to recommend Eric Kreil and as a representative or nominee for the TAD Board nomination process.
Questions?
I move that the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District adopt a resolution nominating Wendy Burgess and Eric Kreil to be considered for appointment on the Tarrant Appraisal District Board of Directors.
Second.
Motion by Steve, second by Paige. Any discussion? Comments? Okay, all in favor? Anybody opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Rob, very much. Our last action item of the evening, Mr. Lee, awarding contracts for Saginaw's High School building additions and renovations.
President Tolbert, members of the board, Dr. Hollingsworth. The district performed a request for qualifications for the construction of Saginaw High School building additions and renovations using the construction manager at risk method, which is a two-step procurement method. The first step received 5 responses for the RFQ. As part of step 2, those responses were shortlisted and advanced to in-person interviews. Of the 4, we interviewed Still Freeman, Poe Construction, Core Construction, and Hill and Wilkinson. The review panel consisted of district employees and representative of VLK Architects, which evaluated and ranked each contractor. The ranking tabulation is attached for your review. Once a contractor is awarded, we will begin formulating guaranteed maximum prices, and they will be presented to you at further board meetings. The recommendation is to enter into contract negotiations for the construction of Saginaw High School building additions and renovations with the highest ranking contractor, Pogue Construction. In the event the district is unsuccessful in negotiating a contract with Pogue, the board authorizes the administration to cease negotiations and move to the next highest ranking contractor or contractors until a contract can be successfully negotiated.
So moved.
Motion by Ron, second by Blake. Any other discussion or comments? All in favor?
I have a question.
Oh, whoops.
Sorry.
Sorry, it's
So
okay.
Pogue, what are they doing right? Are they, how are they involved with this right now? Remind me, Pogue?
Pogue with this project?
Mhm. No,
Or, I'm
with
sorry.
previous, with, they're doing Wayside.
Yes,
That's what he was pointing out.
correct. They are doing
And
Wayside.
who did Eagle Mountain High School core?
Core construction.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We've been pleased with the way that they've interacted with it being an active
Right.
school.
Absolutely.
That have something to do, I guess, with, I would imagine, Saginaw
Yeah,
being
Saginaw.
an active school that needs to function.
Yep.
This is happening.
How has that gone, Hunter, from your perspective in terms of, keeping construction workers away from students and that whole interaction?
I think we've had a great plan. I think Pogue has done a good job carrying out that plan. We've had plenty of meetings. I feel like the campus has been heard and brought into the fold in that coordination for a logistics plan. I don't know, Ashley, Walter, have you guys heard anything from the campus as far as complaints, concerns? Zero. I feel like it's been executed very well.
We haven't seen change orders or anything really of any substance, have we?
No, ma'am. Nothing outside of the ordinary.
Right, okay.
Whether we want to add something or something may be
Right.
missing out of
Right.
the contract documents, but typical.
Okay.
Who redid Boswell?
That was BTC.
Okay.
The team that Pogue has proposed for this project, they just got off of building a high school field house for Sanger ISD. So well-vetted group. Seems like they've got some good experience for a project that we're about to undertake.
Okay, the only question I had about it before we vote is I noticed that the project-related experience, they got an 18 in core and Steel Freeman got a 20.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually your key.
That's a great question.
Okay.
And one thing that I want to clarify, when we posted this RFQ for the step one, we had asked that they provide the last 5-year projects pertaining to athletic and fine arts renovations. There's a fine art piece to this too.
Mm-hmm.
And what they presented to us was just a full list of projects, whether it was a new build elementary school. And so they got dinged for that score because they didn't honor what exactly we were asking. Now, when they came in, they did the interview, they nailed it. They hit on all the projects that were like this, that were apples to apples. And really sold us on they had the ability to do so. But that's ultimately why they lost points.
Okay, 'cause I did see their interview score was higher.
Very good.
By the same thing, okay.
Yep,
All
yep.
right.
They just, what we were asking for, they just didn't quite provide exactly what
paper,
was being asked.
Okay, thank you, that's all the questions I had.
Any other questions?
And we can tell them, I guess, if Wayside's not done on time, that we'll rescind
Revote.
this or we'll revote.
That's right.
Light that fire right now.
That's right.
Okay, so we had a motion by Ron, second by Blake. All in favor? Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. So that concludes, thank you, Hunter. That concludes all of our action items. We do have routine reports. Were there any questions about any of those? If not, then Dr. Hollingsworth, you would have your board planning calendar.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Looking ahead to the month of October, we have our regular board meeting scheduled for Monday, October 27th. At that, some highlights from that particular calendar. We will look at our annual delinquent tax collection report. We'll have in the operations reports, we'll have a middle school zoning report along with a long-range facility planning update. In closed session, we will review the superintendent appraisal process that I've been working on with a small group of trustees, and we'll bring that to the entire group for your consideration. And then action items, we will consider approving a targeted improvement plan that you heard about tonight. We'll act on our 25-26 budget amendments. And then hopefully we won't have any class size waivers. We've done really well on that front, so.
Let's hope.
But I do miss Philo when he doesn't come up and say something.
Not
about
in that
waivers.
capacity, but he's here. I'm glad he's here. So.
I do miss seeing him at the podium talking about it, though. Thank you very much. Okay, consent agenda, there's a consent agenda for approval. Are there any questions about any of those things in the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Have a motion by Steve, second by Paige. Any discussion or questions? All in favor? They opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. That brings me to the board announcements. There are board president's announcements. In your information, there's a Gold Card luncheon information. Please RSVP for that if you plan to come. It's always a great event and nice for seeing some of our Gold Card members. Also, the Band Expo is a great event as well on October 8th because you get to see all the bands performing, so that's awesome. Also great. It's been a great school year so far. It seems like everything's going well, and there were 3 wonderful homecomings. Boswell, Chisholm Ridge.
2 wonderful.
Well, but still, it was still fun.
No, it's fun.
And Eagle Mountain High School. And then on October 3rd, Saginaw will have theirs. Saginaw High School will have theirs, so that'll be great. And then the only thing I want to say is thank you to the board for your hard work and continued dedication to this district and our community. So that's all I have.
Excuse me.
And now, Dr. Hollingsworth.
Choked him up.
Yeah, choked up on that. So thank you, Madam President and trustees. I'm always pleased to bring you my remarks regarding leadership and learning in the district, as I have done the past several months. This is a look at our monthly enrollment and average daily attendance. We love seeing those arrows pointing upward. Our enrollment is up for the first time ever, August 31st. We ended the month of August with 24,275 young people in enrollment. And so August of 25 is the first time that our district has hit 24,000 students. Our average daily attendance was up also to end the month with 96.09 as our attendance percentage. And so we're really proud of that work there. I will point out that during the same period last year, we were 0.39% higher. You say, well, that's a really small percentage, but when you're talking about this many students with thousands and thousands of young people, that's a lot of work on the part of our teachers, our principals, our central office folks to really keep attendance at the forefront. What you see there on the right is a really cool graphic from our communications team. Here today, ready tomorrow, and that high attendance equals high achievement. We're really trying to emphasize with folks how important it is for our students to come to school on a regular basis. Attendance and incentives that we've employed on the secondary campuses, and so kudos to Ms. Alloway and our secondary principals for their work. Wayside is doing class competitions based on second period. The winning class gets a pancake breakfast cooked by the administrative team. They're also doing attendance drawings where they give away athletics passes and free meals to Raising Cane's, which is right in their front yard. That's right. Creekview is doing a wheel of names each week. If you have perfect attendance, your name is put on a spinning wheel, and if it lands on the student's name, they get a prize. Chisholm Trail High School is having a contest between teams. Extracurricular organizations create teams and reward the team with best attendance. Prairie Vista is starting a positive referral system for students with improved and perfect attendance. They call the parent and give them positive feedback and the student a small reward. So lots of really creative approaches on the part of our folks. The number one thing that is different this year is after 2 absences, our folks have committed to calling home and checking in on little Ron. We miss Ron when he's not here, and just having those conversations with families. And that's been one of our greatest efforts. We've talked a lot tonight about curriculum and instruction. This is one of the things I wanted to point out to you, which is that built-in time on our elementary classrooms for internalization. That's a really big deal as we're adopting new instructional resources. And this time is invaluable, and it's time for our professional learning community teams to work together. It's also often a time for them to sit with their campus principal or another instructional leader on the campus. They work with our instructional coaches, and it's an invaluable part of being ready and prepared for our students. Just wanted to celebrate, and we're really happy to have y'all down at the TexEdCon conference. I was so pleased to be with the board. It was really not only great to spend time with y'all individually and as a group, but I so appreciate some of the conversations that take place regarding the sessions that we go to. I know that Mr. Franklin and I went to one, also Dr. come and spend time learning, and I'm really grateful. Upcoming events, we do have our college night this week, September 24th. That's at Chisholm Trail High School. That is a fantastic opportunity for families and our students. We have a student holiday, and that is a day set aside for teachers to work with PLCs and to prepare better lessons. Saginaw High School's the only remaining of our 4 comprehensive high schools to have their homecoming, and that takes place on October 3rd. EMS Band Expo is taking place October 8th. We have our Gold Card Luncheon that Dr. Tolbert mentioned on October 9th. Student and staff holidays kind of have a little fall break built in there for our young people. And we have a student holiday on October 14th. That's another professional learning day. We have a regular board meeting October 27th. Advanced Academics Night is taking place at the HCTC on November 10th. And then we have our ceremony of remembrance. I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be my first to participate in at Boswell High School at the Marty Medellin Plaza. So looking forward to taking part in that really, really special event.
There are 4 days we can pick up right there. Madam President, seeing there's no further business to come before this board, I move we adjourn.
Second. Motion by Steve, second by Paige. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you all very much.
Hey, we survived.
Club.